Hello, hello. Okay then. Should I share this? Should I do it? Why not? I'll share it. Still can't get the thumbnail right. Don't know why. Come on. There we go. All right. Hello? Hey, hello. How's it going? All right, so Disregarding Henry here with another episode of Video Drone. Thank you all for joining me again. We got some stuff to talk about, and I got a cat at the door. Better let him in. Hello. We'll be joined by my brother in just a minute. He's eating some lunch. But we've got Odious the cat here. And yeah, we're talking about some movies. My brother and I, we watched a couple things together that we wanted to talk about. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan's newest movie. The Die Antwoord starring sci-fi action movie CHAPPiE, and we watched the latest episode of the Twin Peaks revival, and so we were going to talk about a little bit about that too. First is Picnic at Hanging Rock. My dude, hello. How are you, Dusty? Hello, everyone. Glad to see you here. What else was I gonna say? The bro's in the house tonight. Wicked. Yep. Yeah, he'll be in here whenever he's done eating. Hopefully in a couple minutes. But yeah, just want to warn you right now. Yeah, since we're talking about the newest episode of Twin Peaks, we're probably gonna spoil a lot of stuff. So you might want to either tune out for a minute or just mute it. I think we're probably gonna do the same thing we did last time. If you just want to mute the stream, and then we'll do the old finger to the tip of the nose to indicate when spoilers are done for. And I think we're probably, if you haven't seen Split yet, we're probably going to spoil a little bit of that too, since we really wanted to talk about the ending to that one and its connection with another M. Night Shyamalan movie, which seems to be fairly well known at this point, but just in case, wanted to give you a spoiler warning there in case you don't know anything about the twist at the end of Split. Heard CHAPPiE wasn't too great. I didn't like it very much. Yeah, I think it got kind of a mixed reaction. I don't think it had too many big fans or supporters. But if I can spoil the later part of the stream, I actually did like it. I was surprised how much I liked it. I was really not expecting it to be a very good movie. I was expecting it to be just kind of a silly, campy little thing that they tried to shoehorn Die Antwoord into and kind of mix them up with like Hollywood actors like Sigourney Weaver and Hugh Jackman and Dev Patel, and got thrown into this sci-fi action story about artificial intelligence and robotic consciousness. I thought it was going to be a mess. That was kind of what I'd heard, is that it was just this mess. And I actually didn't think that. I actually thought it was a pretty fun, pretty interesting sci-fi story and a pretty fun action movie. Yeah, we're probably going to talk more about that when my brother gets here. Abbas Kiarostami's Close-Up and The Wind Will Carry Us and Taste of Cherry. I haven't seen any of those. I still need to watch Close-Up. I think you told me to watch Close-Up a little while ago, and I didn't get to it. So I'll try to remember to watch that fairly soon. Oh, I really liked Elysium, and everyone hated that. Did they? I thought Elysium got kind of lukewarm reviews. I don't know. I haven't seen Elysium yet. I kind of want to check that one out. I'm not too familiar with the director Neil or Nell. I think it's Neil Blomkamp. He's a South African filmmaker. I've seen District 9, and I actually wasn't too crazy about District 9. I thought it was good, but I wasn't, too wild about it. So yeah, that made it even more surprising how much I enjoyed CHAPPiE. Let's see what else we got here. Picnic at Hanging Rock. It's been a little while since I've seen Picnic at Hanging Rock. And yeah, that was a movie that really confused me when I watched it. I think maybe I just need to watch it again. That's a code that I still can't crack. Picnic at Hanging Rock. I still don't really get that movie. But yeah, I got the Criterion Blu-ray at a sale a while back, and I want to rewatch it, but it's been a while. I still, I'm hoping, I can maybe figure out some piece of the mystery if I watch it again. Can you suggest to me a resource where I can catch up on Season 2 of Twin Peaks quickly rather than watching the whole Season 2 so that I can watch the third and not have to skip your stream because of spoilers? I don't know. Maybe there's probably something on YouTube that can give you like a recap. I'm not sure. My brother is the expert on the Twin Peaks lore. Might have to ask him when he gets here. But yeah, he's been going to like all the Reddit forums and reading all the theories and everything. So he might be able to tell you how you can catch up on everything. I appreciate CHAPPiE as a ridiculous Die Antwoord music video. As an actual film, it was a fucking mess. Well, we'll talk about that. I did like Die Antwoord in it, though. I am a fan of theirs. I like their music. I have their first 3 albums. SOS Tension up to Donker Mag. I don't have the newest one, which has some kind of crazy complicated title. Something like Mount Ninja and the Comeback Kid, something like that. I don't have that one yet. But I do like their music, and I love their music videos. The one that really turned me on to their stuff was the music video for I Think You Freaky, which I think is a great video. If you haven't seen it, check that one out. I think the one that really made their name and got them really popular was... Might need to close the window. Was the Enter the Ninja video. I think that's the one most people know. But I think I Think You Freaky is their best video. It was shot by the South African photographer Roger Ballard, who's really well known for these very beautiful, stark, black and white photographs. And he shot the whole video like that, just as kind of these still life vignettes with the group performing and dancing and singing. And it's just, all these really beautiful black and white vignettes that they just cut back and forth between. I think it's a great video. Jodie Foster did her role, in Elysium, in a French accent. Then the director said he did not like it, and so had to redub all her dialogue with an English accent. It's kind of like Burt Reynolds in Boogie Nights. For some reason, like the first few days of shooting on that, I don't know if this is true, it might just be a rumor, but what I've heard is that like the first few days of shooting on Boogie Nights, Burt Reynolds for some reason did an Irish accent. And then after a few days, just without saying anything to anyone, he just dropped it. I guess he realized it was a really bad idea. But I guess Paul Thomas Anderson allegedly was willing to go along with it, but then he just dropped it and they had to reshoot a lot of the other stuff they'd done. Yeah, so I don't know. Accents can be tricky. You've got to be firmly committed to it. The Showtime app has a good recap. That's right, they do. Yeah, I'm sure if you go on like the Showtime YouTube channel or something like that, they should have like I think they have like a 2 or 3 minute video that's kind of catching you up on all the story and everything. So yeah, maybe check either the Showtime app or the Showtime YouTube channel where they upload all the Twin Peaks stuff. There should be something on there that should be able to catch you up with everything. I've never met anyone who liked Die Antwoord. This is incredible. Do most people not like them? I didn't know that. I thought they had a lot of fans. Everyone I know loves Die Antwoord. I too liked Split. Wasn't a fan of the director though. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk about that too. Because M. Night Shyamalan is somebody that I've been defending for a very long time as being a legitimately great filmmaker. And most everyone disagrees with me. But I believe very firmly that he is a great filmmaker. And I think Split is an example of his own particular kind of genius. So we're going to talk about that. I'm still waiting on my brother. So if anyone wants to bring up anything that we can talk about in the meantime, be more than happy to discuss that. Whatever you want to talk about. I like their music. I like their music too. I like Die Antwoord. David Lynch likes Die Antwoord. Yolandi Visser is appealing too. Yeah, I've got the biggest crush on Yolandi Visser. I love her. Yeah, I became incredibly obsessed with Die Antwoord for a few months, maybe a year, a little while ago when I first heard about them. I didn't get it at first. I was really put off by it at first when I saw the Enter the Ninja video. My brother was the one who actually told me about them. He watched that Harmony Korine short that they did called, what was it? Shini Wam. Yeah, they did a short film with Harmony Korine called Shini Wam. And my brother watched that with a friend of his, told me about it, said, yeah, there's this South African like rap rave group. They're really strange. Their music's okay. He didn't really get it at first either. And so then, yeah, I looked up the Enter the Ninja video. Didn't watch all of it. Yeah, just thought it was kind of scary and strange. Didn't understand it. But then I started reading about them. I found like interviews about them. I looked at the history, of their musical growth. How Ninja, his real name is Wadkin Tudor Jones. How he kind of started out as like a performance artist, and then started getting into music, and then had all these different personae that he created and different alter egos. He became like Max Normal, and then Max Normal TV, and it was like this cross-platform thing. And then he became Ninja, and he started Die Antwoord. So he's a really interesting artist and character. It was fascinating learning about him. Hello.
Hey. How's it going?
Pretty good. Just talking about Die Antwoord.
Oh, cool. How's it going, everyone? Die Antwoord is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like them. Apparently, yeah, a lot of people don't really care for them so much, but I was defending them.
Yeah, I've always just kind of enjoyed them for their, not even really for their music. I don't normally listen to the kind of like hardcore like
rap and rave and hip hop.
Yeah, but I guess I really respond well to their attitude and humor.
Yeah.
I love their music videos, and I love the.
Hey, Denny! Everyone's saying hey.
Hey. I really love the fact that they seem really independent and creative unto themselves. Yeah, they've got
their own very particular style.
Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. And I think a lot of it is done with pretty tongue-in-cheek humor too. Like,
yeah, I've seen a couple interviews with them where they do seem to be projecting a self-awareness about themselves. I remember, I forget where I saw this interview. It was on YouTube, but I forget who was conducting it. But Yolandi Visser was talking about their style, and she was saying how like early stuff, like they hadn't really figured it out yet, but once they started kind of exaggerating everything more, and she was saying like we wanted to go more cartoony and more exaggerated, then I think we started really discovering what the group was and who we were. And she said it's kind of like Gummo meets Napoleon Dynamite. It's like I think there is an awareness there.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you watch a video like Pitbull Terrier, and like how can you not think that there's some tinge of humor to that and self-awareness.
It's another great video, Pitbull Terrier.
That's probably my favorite of theirs.
That's your favorite?
Yeah.
I was saying I Think You Freaky is my favorite.
That's a pretty good one,
I really love that one, yeah.
Ninja directed all those, didn't he?
No, Roger Ballard directed a lot of the early ones, the black and white ones, which I really like. He's a really renowned South African photographer, and he did the videos like in the style of his photography, because these black and white still life vignettes. And then I think Ninja started directing stuff like Babies on Fire. That's another great video.
Yeah, that is a good one.
And yeah, he directed Pitbull Terrier.
So you must have gotten onto Die Antwoord from CHAPPiE, right?
Yeah, I was trying not to get too much into the discussion. So I was waiting for you, but I was just kind of talking about Die Antwoord in the meantime.
Yeah, I think CHAPPiE. That was a movie that really got shit on when it.
Do you want to talk about CHAPPiE first?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Since we're kind of on Die Antwoord, I figured might as well just segue into it. But
smooth transition into that.
Yeah.
So no spoilers on this one. I don't think to really have a discussion about this one, we really need to spoil anything.
Nah, I don't think so. Yeah, this movie got shit on when it came out. It really did. I heard nothing but bad things when it came out.
I thought it got kind of like okay reviews, but I know like it didn't do too well at the box office. I should take these off. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people saw it.
Yeah, everything I heard about it was either just sort of passable or really, really negative. And there just seems to be kind of like a really venomous group that kind of hates Nell Blomkamp.
Really?
Yeah, I've noticed this. I think just because District 9 was a really, some would say, overrated movie. That got
I kind of felt that way, yeah.
That got a lot of praise and a lot of attention, and I think there was kind of like a group that sort of like rejected that or just thought that like it wasn't really as original as people were making it out to be.
Oh, okay.
And that he's not really like the visionary filmmaker that people were claiming that he was. And a lot of people kind of like backed that up when Elysium flopped.
Okay.
So I think
which there were some people saying that they really liked Elysium.
Really, I haven't seen it, so I don't want to say anything bad about it because I honestly thought CHAPPiE was going to be one of those movies that was like, it's just sort of.
I was going into CHAPPiE with a positive attitude. It's like, I'm not the biggest Neil Blomkamp fan. I think it's really strange that Die Antwoord is in this. Like, I haven't really heard very many good things, but, I'm going to go into it with an open mind and just hope that I enjoy myself. And I was very surprised that, like, I actually do think this is a legitimately good movie.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. I think the fact that I had my expectations kind of low was sort of, it helped. In fact, like, when we were cruising around Amazon on Prime, we were flipping through movies, and we had, like, a list of 5 or so we were thinking of watching. We kept sitting on CHAPPiE, and we're like, should we watch it? And we were like, I don't know, and just sort of like, this doesn't seem like it'll be that good. And we ended up putting it off for another night, and then finally, like, we got around to watching it, just sort of like, okay, this will just be stupid and fun, why not? But it ended up being a pretty well-written, strongly characterized, and really pretty expertly done as far as the effects and the story.
I think that was the thing I was most surprised by, is I was seeing like trailers and clips, and all the stuff I'd see of CHAPPiE is kind of like, it seems like he's overdone, like just too much going on with his body language and his movements. Like, I don't know. But then when you see the development of the character and everything gets put into context of how he's very slowly learning how to behave and learning how to move and act, it makes a lot more sense, and you don't really notice it so much consciously. So I was very impressed by that, how well just that character of CHAPPiE worked.
Yeah, and a lot of it's owed to the performance of, I don't know how to say his name really, Sharlto Copley.
Sharlto Copley, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty terrific in the role, and he did a really good job of sort of showing a condensed version of like child development. Of just showing the initial birth of CHAPPiE when he's the first robot with a fully realized consciousness.
That's basically the concept for anybody who isn't familiar with CHAPPiE, is that it's about a robot that is made self-aware. It's given a consciousness, and he basically starts out as a newborn child and very slowly has to learn everything, how to speak, how to interact, everything. And Die Antwoord are his parents.
Yeah, the best parents ever.
But it's a little more complicated than that, because he's created by like a weapons corporation, so he's actually like a police robot, but he he's given this new program by Dev Patel, who wants to develop, a conscious AI, and they end up in the hands of Die Antwoord, who are like these criminals who are just want to use him, to commit robbery so that they can get money to get themselves out of debt with this really dangerous, like, drug lord or something. And then Hugh Jackman's the villain for some reason.
Yeah.
I've never seen him as the villain before. Like, honestly, anytime I see him doing anything other than Wolverine, it's like, oh yeah, he has range. He can do more than just that character.
Yeah, he did a great job in this one. He was sort of like kind of like a bro dude a little bit, where he was like ex-military, wears like these really like tacky like shorts.
It's kind of like a stereotypical Australian.
Yeah, exactly. And he carries around like a gun at work.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. Like it was I think it was kind of more of a humorous take on the the antagonist of the movie.
There's a lot of humor in the movie.
Absolutely. And I think maybe the movie maybe suffers a little bit towards the end when he eventually, like, I won't spoil it like we said, but when it kind of comes to like a big climax at the end, I didn't feel like it was as big as it should have felt.
Maybe, yeah. It's not a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could certainly say like I wasn't as interested in the big action set pieces as I was just in the character segments.
That was the strongest stuff, actually, seeing CHAPPIE's development. The way that Die Antwoord, since they're criminals, but they're also sort of these protective parents, and they want to raise CHAPPIE well, but they also want him to commit crimes.
Yeah.
And so they have to like sort of tiptoe around the fact that they're actually telling him to commit crimes by, they want him to like throw ninja stars at people, and they tell him like, oh, it just puts them to sleep. They don't, they're not killing anybody, you're just putting them to sleep. So
yeah, he kind of has to learn, like the real consequences of his actions, and yeah, it's really interesting the way the character develops like that. If he's lied to, and then he learns he's lied to, and yeah, how that all affects his reactions and personality. It was really well done.
Yeah,
and I was surprised by a lot of things. I didn't think Die Antwoord, would really fit in there so well. I thought they would just be playing themselves, and essentially they are.
They are.
Like, they're Ninja and Yolandi. They are Die Antwoord.
My theory is that this takes place...
They're wearing all their own swag the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. My theory is that this is an alternate universe, like an alternate Earth, where there actually is like this ultra-policed state.
Oh, so it's like an alternate present day.
And so basically like celebrity and like art and entertainment and stuff is sort of like dead. And so Die Antwoord had to become real, actual gangsters to survive. But they still have all of their like Die Antwoord stuff.
Yeah, all their publicity photos hanging in the background.
And their music always is playing in the background too.
Yeah.
So I think they are supposed to be the actual Die Antwoord.
Yeah, and they actually do seem to be in several scenes. It's not just the soundtrack. They actually are listening to their own music in the scene. So it's very strange. But yeah, they are playing like real criminals. I was kind of surprised that they went like full on with that, like
sort of unlikable in a way, especially Ninja.
Ninja, really starts out as unlikable. He's like a full on criminal killer. Like there are several moments where you realize, because they kidnap the Dev Patel character in order to get their hands on CHAPPIE, and like there are several moments like where Ninja is really going to kill him. Like it's not just he's the criminal with the heart of gold. Like he's gonna do what he has to do to survive. And I was just kind of surprised that Die Antwoord, they're actually like playing these characters straight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of thought they'd just be there, but they're actually characters. They have motivations, and they're just giving performances like real actors, and they're good. I thought they were good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the perfect kind of role for them. I don't know that I could see them expanding much more than this.
Yeah.
Doing other kinds of roles.
Yeah, it gives them the opportunity to really bring their visual style to it. Like their hideout is full of their graffiti from their music videos and just all this particular stuff that is very much a part of them. And yeah, their brand, I guess you could call it.
I think they're working with directors that sort of see their talents and utilize them the best that they can be. Because they've worked with Nell Blomkamp and Harmony Korine. Yeah,
I was talking about that a little bit. That was how I first heard of them.
Yeah, and in both instances, they're really perfectly cast in the roles, and there seem to be movies almost built around them.
Yeah, that's kind of the only way you can do it, I think, because just their look is so unique.
Yeah.
Their attitude is so unique. And this, to me, I think, is why the movie didn't do so well. People didn't really seem to respond to it so much, and it didn't really get much of a reaction. I think people who were familiar with Die Antwoord were kind of like, what are they doing in this movie? Like a big sci-fi action movie with Hugh Jackman and all these other mainstream actors. And then people who didn't know Die Antwoord was like, who are these two crazy like people that they got to do this? Like, what is wrong with them?
It's funny you mentioned that, because I just noticed this comment right here kind of is saying exactly that it seemed all very strange, and you couldn't really suspend your disbelief that this was literally Die Antwoord and they had all their music.
Yeah.
And this is
I think there's even one of their videos playing in the background at one point. Why?
Yeah,
it is very strange. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to ignore that at certain points where you're just like wondering.
For me, it didn't take me out of the movie. It sort of made me...
Yeah, I was willing to accept it.
Yeah, it made me sort of like interested in it in a different way than in a typical movie. It got me into the strangeness of this story and the sort of like skewed reality that it presents.
Yeah.
And I really did respond to that. I loved all that stuff. The stuff really where it fell short for me was the more traditional, like you said, the more traditional action beats.
And
it got a bit of a shaky start too with the found footage stuff.
Yeah, that was kind of... I guess that's kind of Neil Blomkamp's trademark style. He uses a lot of like different formats and tries to make it kind of seem like a cinema verite thing. District 9's all done like that, right? Like security footage and news cameras.
Right.
I think it's all done entirely in that kind of format.
And if I recall at the time when District 9 was released, that wasn't terribly common. I don't really... Because I remember watching it and thinking there was a new take on...
Yeah, I think that was before Paranormal Activity. I can't remember now.
I mean, if you were to do District 9 today, it would be...
Yeah.
It would be nothing new.
Found footage alien movie.
Yeah, exactly. But at the time, I remember it being something really unique and a fresh way to tell a very contemporary story about like segregation and poverty and oppression.
Yeah, it's true.
So I really do like District 9 a lot. But I think CHAPPiE, at first I was worried it was going to try to recapture that, of just sort of...
Try to go too hard in the realism direction.
Yeah.
And social commentary.
Exactly. And it seemed like it'd be so ridiculous, like we talked about, with all these strange choices, that just would be a bad mix of reality and comedy. But it struck the tone pretty well. I think it actually had a pretty perfect tone. Like, I never really took it too seriously, but I took it seriously enough to find...
Just enough seriousness and just enough lightheartedness.
Yeah, by the end, when it actually kind of comes to its conclusion of artificial intelligence and the nature of it and where it's going, I really did think it had some interesting things to say by the end.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of... Sure, it kind of does the standard Hollywood thing when they need, like, a solution to the big problem that CHAPPiE faces towards the end of the movie. It's basically solved with just computers are magic and they can do a magic thing.
But I think it ties into the fact that creators create and their creations end up going beyond what the creators can do.
Yeah, like it's kind of the next step.
Yeah, I think that was the
next
theme.
Step of consciousness and evolution.
I was okay that it was sort of like a MacGuffin. The fact that the science of it didn't really matter. It was more showing that CHAPPiE was going beyond the expectations of his creator.
I think, like I said, it's not a perfect movie. I thought the action set piece at the end of CHAPPiE was particularly bad. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could criticize, and the final shot, I just didn't buy. I thought it was really poorly done.
It looked like a Volkswagen commercial.
Yeah. So there's things you could criticize. There are flaws certainly, but I think the real strength was the character of CHAPPiE, the way that was done. You sort of forget that he's a special effect at a certain point. It's like an Andy Serkis performance. Like, you sort of forget that it's a guy playing a CGI ape in the new Planet of the Apes movies after a certain point. And at this point, you sort of forget that it's a CGI robot there.
Yeah.
Like, the way everyone interacts with him, the way that he behaves, you just sort of buy it. You believe in the reality of the film after a certain point.
Yeah. And these effects were way to digital.
Oh,
and
okay.
for me, way to digital is probably the best as far as making digital characters that seamlessly blend in with the real actors on screen.
Yeah, they must have used like some physical stuff at some point, because there are many scenes where it looks like they are really physically interacting with this actual robot. So it's very well done, and I think the character is so strong through all the highs and lows of the story. I was willing to go along with it because I was invested in the character and I was invested in the relationships that we're building.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple times during the opening where Hugh Jackman has built like this this super cop robot that is basically. Do you remember in RoboCop? What's the name of that big machine that is the alternate to RoboCop? That
I don't remember.
Blows away that guy in the office, like that walker-looking thing. Basically, Hugh Jackman just builds that.
Yeah.
And when we first started it, I said several times, "Is this just RoboCop? Like, are they just gonna like just do a remake of RoboCop subtly, or?"
Yeah, we were kind of making fun of it a lot too at the beginning. But eventually, very quickly, actually, it just won us over, and we were just watching the movie.
Yeah, at
ED 209.
Yeah, that's it. Hugh Jackman builds ED 210, I guess, in this movie, and I think maybe it was an intentional reference to where you see that and you make the connection of, okay, clearly they shouldn't put this into production because it's going to kill everything.
Yeah.
Because we were just laughing when we saw that. Like, okay, this guy's a lunatic. This is not going to work.
Yes, I was actually very pleasantly surprised by CHAPPiE, and I would recommend it. But you're gonna have to be prepared for the bizarreness of it. It's it makes a lot of unconventional choices, but I think the core of it, of the character CHAPPiE and the relationships that he builds with all the other characters, I think that is strong enough to really carry it through.
Absolutely. I would really recommend it. It's worth seeing.
Do you want to talk about Split?
Sure.
Or do you want to talk about Twin Peaks? I think we could do... Want to do Split?
Yeah, we could kind of save Twin Peaks for last.
Okay.
Split. Another one that I think... It got good reviews. It got
Punch Drunk Love, yeah.
Yeah, Punch Drunk Love. Split, actually did get a pretty good response, which I'm happy with. Because,
but I guess the big thing is just M. Night Shyamalan.
And he's not really getting proper credit. It's almost like they're making this movie out to be an accident that it's so good. And I don't think that's the case. I think this is a real return to form for a great artist.
Which, if you go back to a lot of my earlier videos, even though they suck, I reviewed a lot of M. Night Shyamalan movies towards the beginning of this channel way back when. And I said it there, like, Shyamalan's talented. A comeback is due. I said this before The Visit, before Split. The Visit didn't turn out to really be that comeback for me, but I was saying, like, he's got something.
It's on to something. Yeah. He's
got
there.
The talent. He's got the chops. Like, I'm just waiting for the next really good movie. I know it's coming. And here it is. Split.
Yeah.
I was very happy to see this and to see that it was actually legitimately good.
Probably his best since, for me, Unbreakable.
You think?
Yeah, I'd say it's right up there with one of his better movies.
I think Unbreakable is his best movie.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's the best comic book movie, the best superhero movie. I think Unbreakable is a masterpiece.
It's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Really?
Yeah, I love Unbreakable. And for that very reason, that it's a simultaneous genre film, but also a subversion of genre. A very powerful, emotional story, but it's very subtle and subdued.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about Shyamalan, and that he doesn't get enough credit for. He makes art house movies for the multiplex. Like, his movies defy all convention of, like, big Hollywood spectacle filmmaking. He just pulls all that away and makes it all very intimate and very character-driven.
Yes.
Like Signs, alien invasion movie where you hardly ever see an alien, and it's all just about a family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about loss and families dealing with trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so
this
he's
one,
like the anti-Hollywood filmmaker who has somehow had this huge Hollywood career.
Mm-hmm. And this one really feels like he got that studio shit out of his system.
Yeah,
he
I
turned
can
into
talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, like we've talked. Everyone's talked about this. His more recent films have been studio schlock. Some of it's good studio schlock, like you really liked After Earth.
I think I might be the only one who liked After Earth. I do think that is a fun movie.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
It's a pulpy, like kind of like fantasy sci-fi movie, like in the vein of Edgar Rice Burroughs. You know, I thought it was a fun sci-fi action adventure. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think After Earth is underrated.
Are you a Scientologist?
I'm not.
But yeah, I think he probably gave into studio pressures after some of his movies were flopping.
Yeah,
to do more action,
yeah,
typical run-of-the-mill stuff.
If I can go into this for a second, I read a book that was written about M. Night Shyamalan after the release of Lady in the Water. It's called The Man Who Heard Voices. And I think it's actually a really insightful book into the way Shyamalan thinks and kind of what's been happening in his career lately. Because he was a guy that his parents didn't want him to become a filmmaker. He was so passionate about movies and filmmaking and wanted so badly to be a director that he basically borrowed some money from his parents, went off, shot this really low-budget movie called Praying with Anger, and started, basically did the whole thing himself with just a couple $1,000s from his parents, showed it around to everybody he could, and actually got hired by Harvey Weinstein to make this movie Wide Awake, which he had a very bad experience with. It got taken out of his hands and re-edited. He was so bitter about it that it actually motivated him, like, I'm going to go and I'm going to write a script that is so good that it's gonna make my name, it's gonna make my career, and it's gonna get me away from this experience. Because Harvey Weinstein actually had him in a contract that he had to do 3 movies with Miramax, and Wide Awake was the first. It did very poorly, and he was basically just going to be stuck in this contract indefinitely, and he didn't want to work anymore with Harvey Weinstein because of what happened with Wide Awake. So he basically locked himself in a room for a couple of weeks and just wrote The Sixth Sense. He went through like 4 or 5 drafts, maybe more, just worked relentlessly, nonstop, all day until he had this script. And then he just started showing it around, and it started this bidding war. Disney ended up purchasing the script, buying him out of his contract with Miramax, and said, we're going to do this, we're going to let you direct it, you're going to get final say over the casting, you're going to get final cut, we're just going to let you do this because this is an amazing script. And it did exactly what he wanted it to do. It made his career, yeah. And it was a huge hit. And then he just started doing these really interesting movies like Unbreakable and Signs. And I would even say The Village is a really good movie. A lot of people don't buy the twist at the end of it. I can understand that. But I still thought it was a really interesting, compelling movie.
Yeah.
Then begins the downfall. Now, Lady in the Water is a key movie because this is the first one that he did away from Disney. Disney produced every single film he did up to The Village. Then he wrote the script for Lady in the Water, which Disney did not like. They wanted him to be like a director for hire. They wanted him to be like a studio guy. They wanted him to write and direct a reboot of Raiders of the Lost Ark. They wanted him to do stuff like that. He refused. He said, I do not direct other people's material. I only direct my own scripts. I only direct my own stories. He stuck by his integrity. He stuck by it and said, Lady in the Water is my next movie. And if you're not going to do it, then I'm going to go somewhere else. Everyone thought he was crazy for leaving Disney, the biggest film company there is, the biggest corporation in the world, or one of them.
Yeah.
He said, okay, then I'm going to break ties with Disney. I'm going to go somewhere else. And he makes Lady in the Water, and it flops hard. And it gets horrible reviews. And this is kind of like, I think, the moment that really shattered his confidence. And after that, I think he spent several years and did several movies after that where he was just trying to figure out, okay, then who am I? What am I trying to do? Like, am I just a director for hire? Am I good enough? This is me speculating now. But I really think in the years after Lady in the Water, his confidence was so shaken by that failure that he was really just trying to figure out, who am I and what am I trying to do now? He does what I think is his worst movie after that, The Happening, which is just...
I always forget about that.
Yeah, which is just one of the clumsiest, strangest, poorly done movies that I've ever seen. I can't believe M. Night Shyamalan did it. He is such a craftsman, such a visionary. That movie just is so incompetently made, I can't believe it's actually him. I don't know much about it, but I have this feeling like it must have been taken out of his hands or something. I can't believe that he actually made it. And then after that, he has to break, with this thing that he's held up to all the way up to this point in his career, which is he doesn't direct other people's material. And he does The Last Airbender, which is really, I think, the film that I think cemented his reputation in the minds of a lot of people, that he was this hack, that he was one of the worst directors of all time, which I think is just so untrue. If you watch his earlier movies, this is just something that I don't think he had a lot of control over. It was a mess of a movie. It's an awful movie, but I don't think he specifically is solely to blame for that.
No, I think that was a product of probably just the writer. Did he write it?
I think he did write the screenplay.
Okay. Well,
I don't think he had much choice over what the screenplay was going to be.
I think it was a studio not understanding, like, why the series was so successful and beloved, and trying to condense.
Because it is a great show, The Last Airbender, Avatar.
I never really watched it, but I know you and Etienne, a student we hosted, our family hosted from Switzerland. Like, you guys binge watched like the entire series back in high school, and I saw bits and pieces, and it looked pretty good. But I know when you guys eventually watched the movie, you were sort of like open-minded about it, and you're like, it wasn't good, but it's not a very good movie. But Etienne was like furious with that, and he thought it was like blasphemous that they made this movie and did the material so poorly. And I think it didn't help. It didn't help the fact that it wasn't just a bad movie. It was made even worse the fact that it was a movie that was based on material that has a really passionate fan base.
Yes.
And I think the fact
that they really butchered it.
Yeah, I think that the fact that so many people just had so much hate for him for making that movie, and
that was kind of where all the blame went.
Yeah, I think that that sort of irreparably hurt his reputation as a filmmaker.
Yeah,
and even explains why the reaction to Split was kind of meddling a little bit, or the fact that people didn't want to admit that it was such a good movie, because for some reason now that it's just like it's a punchline to say M. Night Shyamalan is the worst director working today. How is he still getting work? But to me, this is like a really conscious effort to show people that he's still the same guy. Like, he's still the guy that made The Sixth Sense and Unbreakable and all these great movies. And you just let him write a script, give him a good budget, give him a good cast.
Yeah, I think it took a while for him to rebuild his confidence.
Yeah,
that was, I think, the key thing, because in the book, The Man Who Heard Voices, it talks a lot about that the reason he was able to do The Sixth Sense was because he had the confidence that he could do it.
Yeah,
he knew, like, if I just lock myself in a room and if I just work my ass off, I know I can do this. And he did it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a key thing for him, is just him having that confidence in himself and his talents to be able to make these movies and do these things. Once I think that confidence was shattered, then I think he was really trying to figure out, like, what do I do now? Like, how do I do these things? And so, yeah, he did some really bad movies, like The Happening and The Last Airbender. After Earth, I actually think is good. I think that's an underrated one. But I think by that point, it was just kind of like, let's all shit on Shyamalan.
Yeah.
And so it got awful reviews. I think it's at like a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's way too low.
Yeah.
Way too low.
I
don't care what you think of that movie.
I think also the fact that Jaden Smith is in it.
And Will Smith.
People kind of hate on Jaden Smith. So I think it was a movie that people didn't want to like, and
and then I think after that, I think he really just he was so disillusioned. I'm purely speculating here. This is just me imagining what's going on in Shyamalan's head. But I think he was so disillusioned with where his career was going at that point that he decided, I'm going to get back to basics. I'm just going to try and go as far away from what I've been doing lately as I can. And so he went and he made this really tiny $5 million thriller found footage movie called The Visit, which I heard, I saw some people in the chat saying that they actually really liked. And yeah, it did really well. It got good reviews, and it was hugely profitable because it was so small and cheap. It was actually really successful. And I think that was the thing that gave him back the confidence he needed to go and do Split, another like really small, really strange, eccentric thriller that he just executes beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joaquin Phoenix was the first casting choice for Split. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, Joaquin Phoenix can do anything. But...
Yeah, but James McAvoy's pretty damn good. And I just wanted to mention this other thing. I think I must be the only person who quite likes Lady in the Water. I think it was a really, for want of a better word, sweet, not saccharine, modern fairy tale. I agree with you. I think Lady in the Water is another really underrated movie. I think that's a great film.
Never seen it. Skip it. It looked boring.
Okay.
I will see it eventually.
Yeah. But now Split.
Yeah.
So, this is a crazy idea for a movie.
Yeah, we watched the trailer, and I think maybe like everyone else, we had our doubts.
Yeah, because it's an outrageous idea. So a guy with 23 distinct personalities. He has split personality disorder. He has 23 different personalities inside his head. Mm-hmm. And he kidnaps these girls for some kind of mysterious purpose and is holding them hostage. And they just start meeting all of the personalities living inside of him. And
disclaimer, you don't meet all 23 personalities.
Yeah, I guess.
And which was smart, I think, to do, because it would have gotten too ridiculous to have him, like Robin Williams, just like, doing funny voices and talking to himself.
It would have become just a distracting gimmick at that point.
Exactly. You really only
minor spoilers we're going to go into, just as a warning if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, I don't think we should reveal too much, but...
we're not going to spoil anything big.
You only really get to meet... probably 5 key sides of himself.
Yeah, this is... I want to talk about expectations going into a movie again. Seeing the trailer and, I guess just building an idea of the movie in my head, I was really like, so it's just going to be him, like, dressing up in different costumes. It's going to be James McAvoy, like, dressing up in different costumes and doing different voices, and... he's going to be playing 23 different roles? Like, how is that going to work? That's just going to be distracting. I didn't really see how it could be a great movie in my head. Then I saw the movie, and I saw the choices that Shyamalan made, and the way he wrote it, and the way he directed it, the way James McAvoy plays it. It's actually brilliant. It's really well done.
It is.
Yeah, you don't see all 23 personalities. You only see a few. And that's a great choice.
Yeah.
Like, it's the attention getter. He has 23 personalities. And you're like, what? But Shyamalan wisely makes the decision to only focus on a few key personalities that really drive all the action.
The ones who are sort of assuming control in this moment.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's like, the personalities are at war with one another. They're manipulating one another. It's actually, the way James McAvoy plays it, it's a great performance, the way he's able to suggest all these layers and this like internal conflict.
Movies like this typically don't get awards recognition, but this guy he has to win something for this, because it's one of the best. It could have been so campy and bad, but he turns it into some of the best like character work I've seen in years, really, because it's not just him doing different sides of himself. It's like he is completely different people.
Yes.
And moment to moment. People who have their own plans, their own wants and needs.
Yeah, their own motivations.
They work with each other. They work against each other.
Yes.
And it's all internal. And it's it's incredible. Actually, it's pretty.
It's an
damn
impossible
impressive.
character that
Yeah.
he makes actually completely work on screen.
I like the fact that a disturbed man like Kanye West. Yeah, the little 8-year-old has Kanye West albums.
That's right.
I thought that was a good choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's obviously humor in the movie as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
there is definitely a sly sense of humor at work, as there is in all of Shyamalan's movies. There's a sense of humor in all of his work.
And the ones that aren't as good are the ones that sort of mishandle the humor.
Like The Happening.
Yeah, exactly. we've talked about The Happening quite a bit recently. I'm kind of convinced that some of it was intentionally kind of bad and awkward.
I don't know,
because I think it's a kind of throwback to something kind of like The Birds, where it's sort of just like an air of uneasiness and strangeness and going on with and everyone's acting kind of strange and over the top and not of themselves because there's this air of fear.
maybe.
And I don't think it does it well, but I think it's somewhat intentional that everyone's kind of stilted and strange and just unsure. And
If there was a way to make that work, I don't think he found it.
yeah, but
I like that you mentioned Hitchcock, because Split is kind of going off of Psycho
yeah,
and just
absolutely.
exaggerating that to an extreme.
It is, and he hits the right note with this one. Like it.
Yeah, it's got just the right balance of genuine suspense, just enough believability mixed with stylization and craziness,
Yeah.
and balanced with humor and self-awareness.
Yeah, and this guy just pointed out here that he's pretty surprised that it wasn't rated R. And I think that's a good point, which you do think about it. The movie's not really graphic. It's just disturbing by what it suggests.
Yes,
And to me, that's a lot scarier than actually showing
and the
more
atmosphere
grisly sides of...
the atmosphere of tension that he builds too.
Yeah.
Because I guess this is a minor spoiler here if you haven't seen the movie, but basically what the story is building towards is that there's a 24th personality lurking inside of him that is like this supernatural being almost called the Beast. And so the movie is very carefully building up to that. Like, is the Beast real? Are we actually going to see it? And by the time it gets into the third act, like...
From the same stream? Or
I hope so.
Stream resumed. The stream is continuing.
Oh, we might be back.
Could be...
Oh,
Eh?
I think we're back.
All right, cool.
All right, sorry about that.
All
Not
right.
sure what happened.
Yeah.
Ooh, video output low. We're still having some trouble.
Well, even if we're in shitty quality, as long as we're
I guess
still
so.
going.
Yeah, okay. Guess might as well just keep going.
All right.
Oh, it's green now.
Okay. I think we're good.
All right, let's just go.
All right. Do it. Come on.
All right. So what was I saying?
So we were talking
Lost
about let's see. Yeah, I forgot too. Well, Split and
Anna Taylor-Joy, the girl from The Witch. Yeah, the girl, the main girl in Split. Is the same lead actress from The Witch.
Mhm.
How was her performance in Split? Please tell me The Witch wasn't a fluke. She was so good in that. I thought she was really good in Split.
She was.
Yeah, I think she's a definite talent.
I'm surprised her character was as fully developed as it was.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that there was a lot of thematic depth to the movie as well, that it actually is about trauma and abuse and how the mind copes with abuse. And that's actually, it's connected in the characters and in the storytelling, and it actually has a pretty significant payoff at the end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't... I was kind of worried that when it kind of got into some of the territory that it did concerning abuse, if you mishandle that, it could be pretty offensive, I think.
Yes, there's some touchy subjects that he approaches in the story.
But he handles it with a maturity that really does kind of elevate the movie. Because the movie kind of eases you in with a lot of the more ridiculous concepts of having McAvoy in drag and
playing a 9-year-old.
Yeah, so it kind of gets all that stuff out in the front, so you can kind of get your laughs out, and you can sort of...
Another good choice that he's not doing 23 personalities, so we don't have 23 different introductions. It's kind of like, you get the introductions, and then...
Yeah, and
now
then,
we can get on with the story.
And then it kind of gets into the darker subjects of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't laughing through any of that. Like, pretty much after you start to see not only McAvoy's past, but also her character, Anna Taylor-Joy, it gets pretty heavy, actually.
Yes.
And it never felt like it was trying to play its audience, like trying to get an easy emotional response, by just saying that these are abused people. It really is using it as a thematic tool.
Mm-hmm. That's what's driving the McAvoy character.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Is his need to overcome the abuse that he suffered, which is left ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought all that was very well handled.
Absolutely.
It actually felt relevant to the story and the characters.
Mm-hmm. And open-ended enough to where you can infer a little bit. Like, it doesn't sort of give any easy answers to say, this is why he has 23 personalities. Uh-huh. It just gives you enough of a hint to sort of fill in some blanks, and you could make it as dark and disturbing as you want. And you really just kind of get the idea of what led this person to create so many sides of himself to protect himself. To create sides that will essentially like keep him from further harm to himself.
Yes.
And
you talk about the suggestion too. That's another weakness of The Happening.
Yeah.
His first attempt to go full R.
Yeah.
I think he definitely proved with that movie that less is more.
Yeah. It says, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I think there's a stream delay, but
okay,
it looks like we're back.
Okay.
The feedback I'm getting from YouTube, they get the green bar.
Okay,
so it looks like we're okay now.
If we have any other issues, just let us know in the comments.
Yeah, we were getting a bunch of stuff saying that the stream was down.
Okay.
But yeah, it looks okay now. I don't know how it is on your guys' end, but it looks like we're all okay now.
Okay. But anyway, like you said, you were going into
less is more.
Yeah,
suggestion.
Less is more suggestion. Yeah,
that's really what Shyamalan does best. Is his craft is so specific. He storyboards every shot. He conceptualizes every sequence. How he's going to cut, how he's going to use the camera and the movement and everything. He knows how to play with an audience. He knows how to suggest just enough. He knows how to use framing and staging, to build suspense and build tension in a scene. Mm-hmm. I think he's a master filmmaker, and his abilities are on full display in this movie.
Yeah.
This is, I think, one of his best movies.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, someone pointed out how well shot it is, and it is a terrifically shot movie. The cinematography is just really gorgeous. Dark and lots of shadows, lots of...
Yeah. I don't know who the cinematographer was, but yeah, it was some great work.
Yeah, and it felt reminiscent of those early Shyamalan movies, of where it seemed a lot of the drama of what was going on was just sort of within the frame, when people aren't saying anything and they're just sort of sitting there.
Yeah.
And there's just like really dramatic shots that just from staging and lighting and sort of blocking of scenes, really.
Mm-hmm.
And that really felt like a return to that, because there's a lot of scenes where there isn't a lot of dialogue happening. It's just sort of action, and it feels a lot bigger than it is, because of the sort of the assuredness that Shyamalan has as a storyteller and as just a visual filmmaker.
Yeah, definitely. You never really get the sense that, okay, this is just one room. You
Mm-hmm.
never really get a sense of limited scope here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be kind of a claustrophobic movie, but I didn't feel that claustrophobic, honestly, because...
I felt it a little bit. I loved how he uses real, filmmaking craft to build suspense and horror as well. If you want to talk about his skills as a filmmaker, you don't catch him doing any of the typical tropes or cliches. There are no jump scares in this movie. There is only one bit that I can recall where it looked like he was going to do a jump scare, and he sort of did, but without the typical like musical sting to make everybody jump in their seats. It's just kind of a simple like
Step into frame.
there's an empty frame and he just kind of steps in and just says, hello, something like that. Very subtle, very underplayed. It's like I loved that because you see so much of that bullshit now in horror movies of trying to artificially boost the intensity, of using a lot of handheld camera, of using a lot of fast cutting, and using just a lot of aggressive noise on the soundtrack to try and get jump scares out of it. He doesn't do any of that. He actually uses real storytelling and real film craft to build real suspense.
Absolutely. And one character that I was really surprised by in the movie that could have been very cliche was the psychologist. And she really is just there to be the explanation.
Yes, to give some background, additional information. Yeah, but for that kind of character, it was surprisingly well done.
Yeah, and I loved that the way her character developed. She's sort of objective, of observing McAvoy and his condition, but she sort of gets really emotionally involved by the end. And I think that was a good way to handle that character, to sort of have her be an objective sort of psychologist and just using him as a case study. But when she sees that this guy could be dangerous to others, then she sort of takes a personal interest in
and
figuring out what he's hiding.
And she helps us understand the internal conflict that's happening, which personalities are fighting against one another.
That was a really well played character too. I don't know the actress's name, but she was terrific in the movie. I think sometimes in these more recent Shyamalan movies the acting has been really stilted and uncomfortable, but this one felt like everyone was really in their comfort zone in this movie. Like there wasn't one bad performance except maybe from Shyamalan.
You didn't like that, did you?
He had a little cameo in it.
He has a cameo in every movie.
Yeah, and I've never really felt like his little cameos were out of place so much, but this one just felt...
Even Signs, where he basically plays a supporting character?
Maybe just because I saw it young enough to where I just kind of accepted him in there.
I wasn't distracted by his cameo in Split.
And he doesn't have a big role, but... it seemed that scene was the only kind of stilted scene I felt. Where there's like this little like comedy bit where it's like, you're sloppy, you didn't notice the trash cans were tipped over, and he has this like reaction shot. I thought it was that's
handing it up.
Yeah, that's kind of cringy, but it was just for fun anyway, so it's not a big deal. But other than that, all across the board, the performances are pretty terrific. Even from the more typical tropey characters, the kidnapped girls, not the main girl from The Witch, but the other two. They're pretty believable in those roles of just being sort of typical teenagers.
Just normal teenage girls, which again is very important to the story. The fact that they're just normal teenage girls that pays off at the end again. And
the way they think and how they can get out of this is pretty relatable, because the sort of the plans that they can come up with are sort of the ones that I would immediately come up with. Like he's just gonna when he comes in, let's just jump him, like choke him out, and then like run out of here. But she understands him a little bit more, and she is like, no, that is not gonna work. Like we don't stand a chance with this guy, and we don't even know where we are, where would we go, like we're trapped, like that's not the smart thing to do. So they did a good job of sort of like handling the logic with the impulse of sort of playing with the audience to where like if you have like theories of like what they should do, typically those girls are the ones that are acting on that. And the main girl is sort of keeping them in check of, no, we got to play by the movie's rules. We got to submit to what this guy wants us to do, because that's the only way we're going to survive. I thought that was pretty well done.
going back to The Happening, that's to me like the best example of bad Shyamalan. But yeah, there are so many points in that movie where you just think like, what human being would act this way?
Mm-hmm.
And in Split, yeah, I wasn't feeling that so much. I was believing in the reality of the characters in that one.
Absolutely. We shouldn't talk about the final scene, despite having a terrific ending.
Yeah, I kind of do. This is the point where I kind of want to get into spoilers a little bit.
Minor spoilers, because it's pretty well known now.
Yeah, I was saying that you see it in a lot of internet posts now of revealing what this film is connected to. But if you haven't seen the movie and you don't know anything about it, you might want to just either tune out for a second or mute, and we'll do the old finger to the nose to indicate when we're done with spoilers. But yeah, I do want to talk about the twist at the end of this movie just a bit. So spoilers coming up right now for anyone who hasn't seen the film.
So after the final climax of the movie, we get I don't think it's a spoiler to say that McAvoy has like a final monologue at the end, right?
I guess not. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, like McAvoy, I won't give the context, but he sort of has one last speech at the very end, and you get to see in one shot him just bounce back and forth between all these sides of himself, and it's like. It's an incredible shot, incredible performance.
Yeah, like panning back and forth between several mirrors.
Yeah, and after that shot, I was like, damn, this was good. And then Split comes up on the screen.
Yeah, and
like,
the credits seem to start.
Yeah, and you're like, damn, he's back. And then this final epilogue scene comes up after the title. Oh, and one last detail. After McAvoy gives his monologue, some music starts playing.
Some familiar music.
And if I didn't know what was about to come, because this was kind of spoiled for me, the fact that, I'll just say it, this movie is in the same universe as Unbreakable.
Yep.
If I didn't already know that, because it was kind of spoiled online for me, I would have like heard that theme and be like, fuck, this is the Unbreakable theme. Mm-hmm. Like, holy shit, this movie takes place in the same universe as Unbreakable.
Some people were saying the poster also gives it away.
Oh, really?
Because you see the broken glass design on the poster. It's the same as the Unbreakable poster.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Subtle little detail there.
Yeah, and I heard that theme, and I love Unbreakable, like I said, so I'm very familiar with that theme. And to me, that was enough. Like, that was enough to be like, oh, this is great. They're going to connect it and do another movie, and Bruce Willis is going to be in it. But then this epilogue scene sort of really awkwardly makes a blatant connection between the two movies. We were kind of laughing at this last scene. This felt like The Happening Shyamalan to me.
I don't think it was that bad, but I mean, it did feel like, okay, we gotta get something in there to let everybody know what's coming up next.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it felt a little forced.
Yeah.
I think I liked it a little bit more than you did.
I thought it was...
But yeah, it is kind of awkwardly put in there.
I thought it was kind of an awful scene that didn't need to be in the movie.
Okay.
Because it felt like like I said, the old stilted dialogue from the stuff like The Happening and some of the worst parts of
the woman.
Yeah, exactly. Where they're watching a news broadcast of McAvoy.
It's called The Horde.
Yeah, The Horde, and they're saying that, the blah blah blah, like all this stuff happened, and people. I won't give major spoilers, but like he's on the
why
loose.
She would connect it to him too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's watching the news report, on McAvoy's character, and it's in a diner, and you just see this woman sitting at, what do you call that? Like the countertop at the diner, and she's like, oh, he's like that other guy, the guy in the wheelchair. What's his name? And she leans back, and then you see.
Which, by the way, he's not like that other guy.
Yeah,
like he's nothing like Samuel Jackson.
Thinking about it now, I don't know why that would remind her of the Mr. Glass character from
a guy who has no superpowers. He just essentially like set up train disasters. Spoiler for Unbreakable. Sorry, but.
Well, we're already doing spoilers, so anybody who doesn't want to hear has muted it.
Yeah. And
Sam Lowry liked my page, Disregarding Henry from Brazil. Sam Lowry.
Oh.
Has anybody seen Sam Lowry? I just did.
Nice.
Sorry.
But yeah, so then the reporter kind of just in a really deliberate way, dips back in her chair so you could see that she's sitting...
The woman in the diner, yeah.
Yeah. She's dipped back in her chair.
She's sitting in front of Bruce Willis, and then she leans out of the way and reveals him.
So you can see Bruce Willis, and he's drinking a cup of coffee and about to fall asleep. And he's like...
As Bruce Willis always looks now.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, Mr. Glass. And then credits.
Yeah.
And I was sort of less excited for the Unbreakable sequel after I saw that.
Yeah, that is what is coming up next. Is Shyamalan's next movie is an Unbreakable / split sequel called Glass, which seems to imply that Sam Jackson is coming back as well. And despite that last little bit in the diner, I am excited for that, the upcoming Glass movie.
Yeah, I think if it just captures the same tone, if it avoids the schlock and just goes for the human elements,
grounded human drama,
then I think it could be really, really good. As long as it just doesn't indulge in that.
As long as it doesn't turn into Batman versus Superman, where they're destroying buildings and leveling a whole city.
Because, I don't know that I even want an Unbreakable sequel, because a part of what makes that movie great is that it ends on an
ambiguous note.
Exactly.
He was originally planning, when he did Unbreakable, he was originally planning a trilogy. And then it's got kind of an interesting history, because it was going to be a trilogy of movies at first. It didn't do as well as people were expecting. He canceled the other two. And then when he started doing the M. Night Shyamalan Chronicles, I think it was called, which they only did one entry, and it was going to be kind of like a Twilight Zone kind of series. They did that movie Devil, about the people trapped on the elevator, which is another underrated movie. I thought that was a really fun thriller.
I've only seen the jelly part.
Which is a bad scene, but but it's a good movie. But that was going to be the first entry in like a film series that Shyamalan was going to produce and write screenplays for, called the M. Night Shyamalan Chronicles. They ended up canceling all the rest of those, but apparently what he was planning is he was going to take his ideas for the Unbreakable sequels and write scripts for this series and make them original stories. Those got canceled. Now, finally, apparently all those ideas that he had for the future Unbreakable movies, he's finally going to use them.
And that does make me excited. And I think it's kind of cool, too, that he's getting his mojo back, and enough time has passed for Unbreakable to be rediscovered. Patton Oswalt just did
because it was a really underrated, underseen movie for a while. Yeah,
I forget what channel it was with, but Patton Oswalt just appeared on a YouTube channel. It was actually like a year or two ago, and they asked him what superhero movie would you really want to see a sequel to, and he said Unbreakable. And he gave a sort of like fantasy Unbreakable 2, of like, if they made Unbreakable 2, this is kind of what I'd like to see. And Shyamalan actually saw that video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and said, thanks, Patton, for your support. Like, look for what I'm going to do in the future, and like kind of gave like a little tease of like, like maybe your prayers will be answered or something like that. And
get ready for a twist.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of cool to see that the support is there. People, do want this to happen.
Yeah. And I think it's encouraging that it wasn't just something that he came up with like a month ago.
Yeah.
It's like, I can just tie it in like this. It's been something that he's had in his head for a long time.
Absolutely.
And even though I'm always kind of saying I don't really like superhero movies and comic book stuff, I'm getting kind of burned out on that. Like, to me, I'm excited for this because it'll be such an antiseptic to that. The big spectacle stuff that just kind of means nothing to me. This will be something that is actually grounded in human drama and characters and film craft.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of stuff I can get excited for, superhero-wise.
Absolutely. I don't want to see a trailer with Bruce Willis like putting on his like parka and like zipping it up, and he's like, I'm going out, and then like James McAvoy like Looney Tunesing in the mirror, and and then like they like run at each other, and I don't want to see that.
There's a lot of ways this could go wrong. But there were a lot of ways that Split could go wrong.
Yeah.
And I was expecting it to make some of those mistakes, and it didn't.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging. That's very encouraging. All the ways that Split could have gone wrong, he avoided them. There's a lot of ways that Glass could go wrong. I have confidence, and I'm hoping that he avoids those as well.
Are we out of spoilers now?
I think so. Yeah. No more spoilers.
So yeah, overall, Split is fantastic.
Highly recommended.
Gotta see it for sure. It's definitely one of the highlights of last year.
Very fun, very suspenseful movie. I think you'll enjoy it.
And
Split was quite reminiscent of 10 Cloverfield Lane for me. We haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane yet.
I've been really wanting to see it.
Should probably watch that. Talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been one that's been getting a lot of praise.
I've always been a big fan of John Goodman. I think that he doesn't get enough credit for his dramatic chops. He's great in movies like Barton Fink.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, even look at
King Ralph.
Fuck you. But I mean, even you look at his more like over the top comedic characters like Walter Sobchak and Big Lebowski. There's nothing close to John Goodman in that role. Like
that's true. Yeah,
it is Walter Sobchak. There's no trace of John Goodman in there. And he's genuinely kind of frightening in that movie.
He is. Yeah.
And then you go to a movie, or even just like a show like Roseanne, where he's just the lovable dad.
Yeah.
And I think he's got an incredible range. And to see that they had the confidence to cast him in a really tense thriller, where he's sort of, from what I understand, he's like kind of a.
You have to be like a menacing presence.
Yeah. I thought that was a really unique choice for him to be in it. And it piqued my interest, honestly. And I've been meaning to see it for a while, basically, particularly for him.
Yeah, I've been kind of avoiding it just because it's J.J. Abrams.
I know you're kind of a J.J. Abrams hater.
I don't like J.J. Abrams.
He's fine. He makes studio movies that are decent.
Yeah,
he's like Brett Ratner to me. I get
so every time I see his name on something, I'm just like, no thanks.
Like,
so I'm gonna have to get over that. One of my few film prejudices for J.J. Abrams. I'm gonna have to get over that to watch this. To me, because I want to be objective about everything I watch.
Absolutely. I think even if it's like derivative of other work, it still can be good, and it could still.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's how I feel about J.J. Abrams. His movies are very derivative of other people's work, but he still makes good, entertaining movies.
I guess all I just
they're
see
not revelatory or anything.
Yeah, I just don't see enough that he adds.
Yeah.
You know, I can look at directors like Guillermo del Toro, who takes a lot of influences but gives it his own spin and really adds his own sensibility and his own personality. I don't really get a sense of a personality with J.J. Abrams. I just get a sense of
copy.
I like this.
Well, I mean, that's the worst part of his new Star Wars movie was that
he did only produce Cloverfield. Yeah. He didn't direct it, so that's a plus for me. But just the fact that his name is associated, the fact that his name was associated with it, for me, whether rightly or wrongly, just kind of turns me off to stuff.
Hey, he came up with Regarding Henry, and that's like the basis of what you.
I do owe him that. Yeah.
So
this arbitrary choice I made in what to call my YouTube channel.
You're cosmically binded to J.J. Abrams, and you're very.
I just thought it'd be a funny name for a YouTube channel. That's all. That's the only thing. I was actually going through some of my old notebooks, and I saw that original note of when I just must have been like up late one night and just thought, disregarding Henry. I wrote it down in one of my notebooks, and I was going through and I saw that there. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
That's where it originated.
I remember when you called me after you came up with that. You're like, I got a name for my YouTube channel. And you're like, are you ready? Disregarding Henry. And I was like, I just laughed. And I was like, okay.
Sure you want to stick with that?
Yeah. And even after you made the channel and had it for a while, you're like, should I change the name? Like, am I going to get sued by J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, I was really worried about that for a while.
And you haven't gotten sued yet, so I say stick with it.
Fingers crossed. Knock on wood.
And plus, like, people have made, like, cool banners and stuff. Or at least the one you have right now. I really like that banner.
Yeah, it was really cool. The guy that did that for me. Just
Vertigo inspired.
As a favor, because he liked my Ronnie Rocket videos. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful to that guy.
So I say stick with the name until Abrams sues you.
Okay. If I get hit with a cease and desist order, I'll have to come up with something else.
Yeah. But 10 Cloverfield Lane, we maybe can talk about next week.
Yeah, that'll be one. Along with the next episode of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
very, very elegantly brings us into the last thing we want to discuss.
Absolutely. Yeah, this new episode. I don't know how many people are...
I thought Regarding Henry is a Harrison Ford film. It is a Harrison Ford film, but J.J. Abrams wrote the screenplay for it.
And Mike Nichols directed it, funny enough. And, yeah, it's like, it's not a great movie. It's okay. It's just sort of...
It's less derivative than his other stuff. It's just kind of like Oscar bait.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a vehicle for Harrison Ford to showcase his dramatic chops, but
looked into what you said about Willem Dafoe last week. I don't see what the big deal is about. Well, I'm sorry you're disappointed. I was impressed, okay?
Oh, about his dong?
Yeah, his legendary package.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it, but I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard Michael Fassbender's actually the one who's packing the heat.
Yeah, Shame.
Yeah, I haven't seen Shame.
He used a cock ring.
Oh. Pulled a Dirk Diggler on us.
Yeah.
Prosthetic.
It wasn't a prosthetic. It was actually his equipment.
Oh, okay.
But you know what the ring is?
I'm not familiar.
You get an erection, and then you put a ring at the base, and then it goes down, but all the blood stays in it.
Oh, okay.
And so you get some extra oomph.
Yeah, I gotcha. Some girth.
Yeah.
I can understand.
Some extra length.
Yeah, I can understand why actors would want to do that. I'm sure Kevin Bacon did something like that in Hollow Man.
Oh.
Because I remember in Hollow Man, I was like, damn, not bad.
Yeah, it's impressive, all the tricks that are out there. Yeah, they've got the cock rings, and then for the ladies, there's the merkins.
Yeah, I know about merkins.
Yeah, pubic wigs. Mm-hmm. So you don't actually have to show any of your downstairs business, but it looks like full frontal.
Right.
Gives you just a bit of dignity.
Exactly.
When you're doing a full frontal nude scene. Actually quite common. Chances are, if you've seen a full frontal nude scene in a movie, there was actually some covering there.
Yeah. If you have the
genuine full frontal nudity in movies is actually a lot rarer than I thought.
Right. I understand why, because if you're going to you don't want to bare all in front of have that
100 person crew,
have that, and not only that, but that's your legacy, that you're preserving on film forever. And it's like, man, I don't want this to be like a laughing stock. Especially for actresses. Legacy. I don't want it to, especially for actresses who are like, I don't want this to be like whacking material for people.
No, I get it. Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand why they have those cheats to sort of
I'm not calling bullshit on anyone. I totally understand and sympathize. I'm not criticizing anybody for doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just surprising when you read about it.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't expect it.
And that there is such a system in place for oh yeah, you get your pubic wig, you get your cock ring, and you film the scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to Twin Peaks, I see that the Secret History of Twin Peaks is really recommended. I do really want to read that.
I think somebody mentioned that last stream as well.
Yeah.
Last Twin Peaks one we did.
I haven't gotten my hands on it, but I do want to read it, particularly for the connections that it's... actually, just for how it flushes out some of the characters that I don't know much about.
Oh.
I guess in particular, it really expands the, I don't know her name, but the agent character that works with Gordon and Albert.
In the new series?
Yeah, in the new series.
So this is a new book?
Yeah, it's a new book that just came out last year to basically get people geared up for the return.
Oh, okay. So it has a lot of the new characters in it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And sort of bridges the gap between the two.
Okay.
But when I didn't think it was necessary to read it though, because when interviewed about it, David Lynch said that he never read the book. He doesn't know anything about the book, and he doesn't care about the book. So I was like, okay, it doesn't really matter then. But Mark Frost is pretty heavily involved with this new show, and I'm sure he's the one who's the keeper of the Twin Peaks lore, because he seems a little bit more attuned to that. Making sure things are canonically connected and making sure there's a bridge between.
That's the way I imagine it too. Yeah, is that Frost is kind of the one trying to bring the consistency to it, and Lynch is the one just doing his Lynch thing.
Yeah, exactly. So and from what I've read on the subreddit of people who have read The Secret History and are talking about some of the characters, it seems like it gives a lot more context to the people who just sort of come into the series that you don't know much about, with just kind of establishing them a little bit more.
Okay, yeah. Because you get introduced to a lot of characters, and yeah, there's not a lot of expository dialogue saying who these people are. You kind of just have to figure it out for yourself.
Which I'm okay with. Like, I think that's part of the reason that makes this new season so exciting, is that it's like we're getting something completely new, and we can't rely on our previous knowledge of the show, of this 90s show, to get us through. We have to go in naked and sort of relearn the operations and the workings of the show, and get to know these new characters and how they're connected. And I think that's the way to do it. I think get people in that uncertain place that they started with in the original. So
yeah, I think it's been proven enough times, if you just try to redo the thing that you did 10, 20 years ago, it's gonna fail.
Yeah.
That's happened a lot lately. Just like we're just gonna jump right back in, pick up where we left off, and then people see that it's like, this is awful. You're never gonna recapture that thing when that much time has passed.
You get Fuller House. You know?
Yeah.
You get that shit. You
want to just avoid that and just try to make the new thing its own thing.
Yeah,
that seems to be the best approach. Or you just come up with an original idea. But since that's not happening anymore, like this is the next best thing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You have a familiar name, but you just have it be. It's like it's an art movie essentially.
It's a Lynch movie.
Yeah,
which is what is allowing me to enjoy this new Twin Peaks, is that it doesn't feel like it's just kind of like, let's bring back a thing that was kind of popular from the past. It's like, it really feels like it's just David Lynch saying, I'm just going to do what I do. I'm going to make a new thing. And the fact that it happens to be called Twin Peaks, is not that important. I'm still just going to do what I want to do with this.
Yeah. And this new episode, I think, kind of reminded people that we can't watch this with the expectation that it's going to unfold like a traditional narrative.
Okay, so now I think we're going to get into spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen the Twin Peaks revival or the original show.
Yeah.
We'll do the old nose thing when we're done.
So this new episode, people were desperate for answers from what we saw in the first four.
Clearly.
Because basically they released the first four. If you have the Showtime app, they released the first four in a batch. People have watched those over and over again obsessively. I'm one of those. I've watched them. I've watched every episode twice, and then I've gone back on certain scenes and rewatched them. And I was really ready for this next one to carry on and sort of develop things more. And it didn't help also that 2 weeks have passed since we've gotten a new episode. So
2 weeks.
Yeah, because they had to wait for episodes 3 and 4 to air on the actual Showtime.
Oh, okay.
So basically, like, they all the first 4 were streaming for 2 weeks, but then they had to air them all sequentially on TV.
Okay.
And so before they gave us episode 5, 2 weeks had passed.
All right.
And so the fact that we all kind of had to wait and speculate in those 2 weeks made expectations pretty high.
Yeah, and then you just get one more episode.
Yeah, and
which is kind of, I felt the same way. I was kind of frustrated when the 5th episode was over. Like, but wait, we didn't follow up on this or that or the other thing.
It's like, where's Gordon Cole, and where's how come we don't know what's still, like, Dougie is wandering around. There's no answers with him. There's no answers of what evil Cooper is planning. What
you get a few tantalizing hints, but that's about it.
Yeah, and it took a rewatching of the second episode to really appreciate just what it is and what it does really well, and remind me that this isn't going to unfold like a typical show where you're going to get a revelation at the end of the episode. You got to get into the atmosphere of it. and you just got to go along with the ride, and you got to leave your expectations at the door.
And I think having all 4 episodes available at once, just one of those episodes probably would have been like, watching this episode 5. It's like, wait, what? Why aren't we gonna follow up on any of this stuff? You can kind of get a sense of development and progression watching all 4 of those episodes, and then when you just get one little piece, one episode, it kind of feels like it's a bit lacking compared to 4 at once.
Exactly, which I do believe
the show is meticulous. It very carefully and very slowly doles out information.
I do believe once we get the entire 18-hour series available as one, you're probably meant to watch it as one 18-hour movie.
This would be a good one to just binge from beginning to end.
Because I feel like that's what
Lynch watching it like this one episode a week now, it's probably going to be frustrating and make you very eager to but I want to know what happens with this. It's gonna probably make us very eager.
Absolutely, which for me that's an exciting thing, because I like that experience of just being so desperate for a new episode and just obsessively running back details and making connections. And that's something I really miss about episodic television. The fact that you can get all the answers essentially in one day now with streaming. You can watch, you can know everything about a show in one day.
So it's a short-lived obsession.
Exactly. Whereas this is like a sustained experience that you're thinking about and discussing and talking about with people who've seen it. The one downside with the streaming age is that not everyone is sort of on the same page with experiencing media now. Sort of like there's so many different groups that are watching just what they want to watch, and people aren't experiencing things together so much anymore. Because when the original Twin Peaks came out in the 90s, people were watching that and experiencing that together and talking about what the fuck was on TV last night, and like, did you understand what was going on? Do you know like who killed Laura Palmer? And it was a national obsession for a while.
It's kind of weird that the show did seem to really hit. And still got canceled after 2 seasons. What I've heard is that like the network behind it just kind of didn't know what to do with it. Like, should we put it on late night? Should it be prime time? Should it be weekday? Should it be weekend? And they kept moving it around, and it kind of cut the legs out from under it. And that's kind of why the original show was so short-lived.
Absolutely. And with this new show, the people watching it are the ones who kind of have seeked it out. And so it's not really like I don't think it's going to really have the same effect that it had back in the day when it was sort of in the public attention everywhere. But I think the fact that it is somewhat easily available, that you can, if you have a Hulu account or an Amazon account, you can just pay a little extra money to see it. I've been really trying to get people in on watching it. Don't you miss the days when just like everything was on Netflix, when there was only like one streaming service and it was all there? And it was very easy and very streamlined. Now it's like you have to...
It's everywhere now.
You have to have...
so spread out. I remember reading a Cracked article back in the day where they were saying like, this is the golden age of streaming. Like, it's only going to go downhill from here, so enjoy it while it lasts. They were saying like, more companies are planning more streaming services. Content is going to get locked over into certain corners, like, so really enjoy this while it lasts. And it was kind of like, okay, like I wasn't really sure, and now that it's here, like, man, I really wished I'd taken more advantage of Netflix when you could watch like 100,000 movies all at the click of a button.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this Pineapple Squid brings up a good point, that Showtime is a better option for Twin Peaks than Netflix, because you get the weekly releases and you get the water cooler discussions, which, I mean, it's it doesn't happen as often. Like, that's kind of what I was saying. It doesn't happen as often in this era of television where people are all watching the same thing and they all meet up at work the next day to talk about it. Like at my work, nobody is watching the show. Like, what I'm doing right now, though, while it's happening, I'm trying to get people in on it. I'm trying to make people aware. If you have Hulu, just get the Showtime app just for a couple months. Just watch the series and then you can cancel it. And make people aware of it and get discussion happening. I think that's sort of like people's responsibility now as fans of the show, just to get people to see it. People who, because a lot of people are still familiar with that original show. Almost everyone I have talked to at work remembers the show, or at least remembers Laura Palmer. And I think that's really all you need to continue this show. Just a
because
like a vague remembrance. You don't need to know every detail. You just need to sort of be familiar with it.
That's what I did. I kind of did the opposite of you. Is you rewatch the original show and the movie and everything, and I was just kind of like, I kind of want to just go into it fairly blind, just with a vague memory of the show, and just see how it stands mostly on its own. And I'm enjoying it, probably in a different way than you were enjoying it, of really struggling to keep up and sort everything through and work my way through it. Whereas you're able to see a lot more of the connections and the way information is linked. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of enjoying it for the strangeness of it in the immediate experience, and you're kind of enjoying it for just how much it's building on the mythology and everything and developing stuff. Mm-hmm.
And I think this new episode, to kind of specifically talk about this new episode, I think.
So what even happens? I'm trying to remember now.
Okay, so I rewatched it a couple days ago. As far as plot details and revelations that come from this episode, we know that.
So we're up to now episode 5.
Yeah, we're on the 5th episode. Philip Jeffries is a name that's coming up quite a bit.
Is that the David Bowie character?
Yes, David Bowie from Firewalk with Me, who, if you haven't seen The Missing Pieces, you may think, why is he so important?
I have not seen The Missing Pieces.
You need to see The Missing Pieces. He has a much bigger role in The Missing Pieces.
Okay. The only thing I remember with David Bowie from Firewalk with Me is when Cooper's doing that experiment with the security cameras, and Bowie just like walks by him. Yeah, that's all I remember.
So, honestly, like, I'm not like too into Twin Peaks mythology to where like I know what Philip Jeffries was doing in Firewalk with Me, but he, just to kind of know his significance as a major role in that universe, you kind of need to see those extra scenes.
Okay.
And he plays a big role in this new series, but off camera. This was likely due to the fact that Bowie is unfortunately no longer with us. But sort of his stand-in, from what the speculation is a black box.
Oh yeah, which we see in episode 5.
Because
some kind of electronic beeping black box in a wicker basket, it looked like.
Yeah, And the only reason why people think it's Philip Jeffries is the fact that you get an establishing shot of Buenos Aires, and you know that Philip Jeffries from Firewalk with Me is
adding yet another location too.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought they were done establishing new places and new people. Nope, we're still going. Episode 5.
That's where Philip. That's the only guy that we know of that would be in Buenos Aires. Like, that's
Philip Jeffries.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's something to do with him and this box and Bad Cooper working with him. Whether it's the actual Philip Jeffries or a doppelganger, we don't know. But there's something going on there, and there's some kind of deal or plan that Bad Cooper is working with Jeffries.
Okay,
that's sort of like what this episode was getting at, I think.
All right. I do recall the scene where Bad Cooper, who is currently in jail right now, he makes a phone call, and I'm self-conscious doing this now because I just watched that George Carlin special, Complaints and Grievances. He says that those are people that he hates. People that do this when they talk about phone calls. So now every time I do this, I'm like, oh great, now George Carlin wants to kill me.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a key scene in episode 5 where Bad Cooper makes a phone call from prison, and he does some kind of thing where he hits a combination of buttons that set off an alarm system.
And he also mentions a Mr. Strawberry, which we haven't...
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he says, maybe I should call Mr. Strawberry. And I don't know who Mr. Strawberry is.
Right.
But the warden reacts very strangely to when he says Mr. Strawberry. So maybe it's some kind of like information that he accessed about him, like some dirt on him, on the warden. That
just to freak him out?
Yeah, to be like, how the hell would he know about Mr. Strawberry?
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's something really perverse. I don't know.
So then, yeah, he sets off the alarm system somehow so that they can't overhear his call. He calls somebody and he says, the cow jumped over the moon, right?
Yeah.
Now, the way I'm interpreting this is that he's got some sort of plan that he's trying to execute right now to keep him out of the Black Lodge. Because that's been kind of the thing that we've been following up to this point, is that he's supposed to go back to the Black Lodge. He doesn't want to go back. So now both Coopers are in the real world, and this is kind of upsetting a balance, throwing things off. He's trying his best to stay out. He's been weakened, it appears, by nearly being drawn back to the Black Lodge when Cooper got out. So now he's in prison. I don't think he expected to be in prison. I don't think this was part of his plan. And I think the call that he made is him kind of like trying to enact this like plan B. He's calling somebody, one of his collaborators. I don't know if it was Philip Jeffries or if it was Jennifer Jason Leigh or somebody else. But I think that was like a code when he says the cow jumped over the moon. It's like, okay, the shit has hit the fan. You need to come help me.
And then that black box turns into a quarter.
Okay. Yes, I recall that.
I'm pretty sure that's who he was calling. I'm pretty sure he was calling that black box, a.k.a. Jeffries, I think. Because earlier in that show, there was also another character who I have no idea who she was, where she's talking to the people who are trying to kill Dougie. Yeah.
It's just automatic.
She dials the telephone and talks to these people trying to kill Dougie. And she is saying, like, you were supposed to take care of this yesterday. This is so fucked. Like, you guys are screwing this up. And the guys are like...
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and
I forgot about
there's
her.
like that like rap song playing in the background. And the guys are just like, don't worry, we'll get it taken care of. And then she texts, I think, W or something. Like one letter. I don't remember what she texts. But she texts something. And then it cut to that black box. So I think she texted it to that black box. Maybe it's...
Okay.
So it's like, obviously...
Oh, shit. This guy... Bad Coop was looking up the prison before he got car sick.
Looking up the prison before he got car sick?
Was he? On the computer?
Oh, yeah.
Is it right after he kills that woman in the hotel room?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Oh,
I'm trying to remember
if... Well, that...
So it was a part of the plan, then, for him to get caught.
I guess it possibly was.
Huh.
All right, that pulls the rug out from under my theory.
Yeah, but it seems strange, though, that he would...
Huh.
Oh, on a tablet.
Wow.
Well, then... But then why would he... Did he want Gordon to think that he was the actual Cooper? Was his performance with the thumbs up and the greetings, was that a part of the plan, or was it a slip up that he wanted Gordon to believe that he was Cooper?
I think he did. I think he was trying to put on a performance, just he was so weakened.
By throwing up all that shit.
Yeah.
And...
because his voice is really low and slowed down.
Yeah.
Hello, Gordon.
And he speaks backwards for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I would think that when he can kind of see that he's not being taken at face value, that's when he has to sort of use extreme measures. Like, okay, he starts to see that these people don't really think I'm me or I'm Cooper, so I'm gonna enact this secret plan to sort of get stuff. That's, to me, that just makes more sense. But I mean, obviously there could be something deeper going on here.
Yeah, that was really the way I was reading it. Is that like, okay, he's got like an emergency contingency plan that he's got now. But if he was looking up the prison beforehand, then, well, shit, I don't know. Maybe because we haven't seen Matthew Lillard yet, right? We saw him in like the first couple episodes. He hasn't come back yet for at least 2 episodes, right?
My theory, so Jacob says, my theory is that he's in prison to meet Bill Hastings. That's Matthew Lillard.
I was just about to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe
and it looks like those cells look very close to the ones that Bill Hastings... And they're in South Dakota.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we haven't seen Matthew Lillard in like 2 or 3 episodes now, right?
Yeah, it's been a while, but he's still been a big part of the show because they're still trying to figure out the cadaver.
Yes.
And they found Dougie's ring inside that body.
That's right, yeah.
So there's still a lot. He's still a very big part of the show. He just hasn't been on camera yet.
Yeah.
And so obviously...
Maybe he was just looking up the prison because it was the prison that the Matthew Lillard character was being held at. Maybe he didn't expect to end up there. Or maybe he did. At this point, yeah, it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah. And these are the kinds of questions that we're asking and we want to see answered in episode 6, and I bet we're not going to get them answered in episode 6.
I bet, it's just going to introduce a new character and focus on that character the whole time.
Because think about who we did see, who we haven't met before in this episode. And there was Shelley's possible daughter.
The Amanda Seyfried character.
Yeah, and her boyfriend, who's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then there's the Dennis Hopper kid from the bar. I call him Dennis Hopper kid because he reminds me of Frank from Blue Velvet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So you get that guy. You get you get some kind of plot with him and Chad, the douchey cop from
he gets that pack of the cigarette pack with the money in it.
Yeah. So there's something going on with them. Maybe running drugs and
a lot to keep track of.
Yeah. And I'm kind of, my theory with that is that maybe Bobby's in on that because he's in charge of the narcotics and run like, are drugs coming in, Bobby? And he says, no, we're good.
I think you mentioned that right after we watched the episode. I think something's going on with Bobby.
Yeah, he's like, Bobby, I want Bobby to be like a pure character now because
he's a cop now.
Yeah. And that would be kind of a cool arc to see that he's turned his life around, but I feel like there's something to this that there's
everybody's hiding a secret.
Yeah, I think Bobby is in on this trafficking that's going on. And that he's sort of just making a front for Sheriff Truman to say, like, things are really quiet right now, but he really does know what's going on.
He's just not letting Truman know.
I think so.
His last name is Horn, the guy on the bar. That's right.
That's right. Mm-hmm. I did notice that. And so Ben Horn, Audrey Horn, like maybe Audrey's kid?
Maybe.
Maybe like... Ben Horn, he did like fuck every chick in Twin Peaks, so it could be one of his kids.
Illegitimate kid, but it's named Horn. His name is Horn, so he's got to be associated with the family in some way.
Yeah,
just like a piece of shit rich kid that thinks he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So whether I don't know how we haven't seen Audrey yet. We don't know. Yeah. Like we don't know if it's her kid. Like we don't know what kind of life she's lived.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot to see. Like there's
somebody else mentioned Lynch said the guy covered in soot in the cell will come into play later. Yeah, you see like old Greg in the cell next to Matthew Lillard, and he's like,
I thought it was
then he just fades away.
I thought it was the guy from Mulholland Drive, the guy behind the restaurant.
Oh yeah, could be either one.
Yeah,
but yeah, apparently he's gonna come back. Audrey, an evil Cooper's kid, possibly.
Oh fuck! Holy shit! That's interesting. That is really interesting because Cooper. I don't know that Audrey would go back on the Cooper obsession though, because if you recall in the end of season 2, that whole Billy Zane arc, which is kind of weak, admittedly.
I don't even remember Billy Zane in the original series.
Kind of the whole point of that arc is to sort of be like, there's other fish in the sea, Audrey. You don't have to obsess over Cooper. Like, move on with your life and.
How long is the stream been going for? Is it just Twin Peaks talk from now on, or will there be more films? I'm sure we'll talk about more, but just right now, we're talking about Twin Peaks. This will probably go on for a little while longer.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll discuss other stuff.
Maybe take some questions at the end or something.
Be patient.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
if you haven't seen the show yet, sorry. You got to see the show. If anything, this should be encouraging to see the show.
You're trying to convince everyone to watch the show.
Absolutely. Even if you flat out hate this thing, it's still worth seeing. There's still a lot to talk about and a lot to experience, and it's challenging. You're challenged by it, and that's shit. Stuff isn't doing that anymore. Like mainstream television film isn't trying to challenge you. It's trying to purely entertain you and keep you watching more. It's keeping me watching more, but
we kind of talked about that with Star Wars, didn't we? That it's just fan service.
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
Which exactly. I haven't seen the new Star Wars movies, to be fair. I haven't seen Episode 7 or Rogue One, but just listening to you talk about it, your experiences with it. Like, yeah, that was kind of your big beef.
Yeah, it's like, sure, it's good, but it's purely like I said, fan service.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything new, and it's keeping people asleep to eat their popcorn and good movie and wander out of the theater.
Yeah.
And this is constantly like keeping me engaged, even
really
when I'm not
throwing
watching
up your
it.
expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't want spoilers for Twin Peaks. You might want to either tune out for a second or just mute the stream. We're gonna do a finger to the nose.
Yeah,
that'll be our sign when the spoilers are done.
Which we're still talking about Twin Peaks.
Still doing spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you see us both do this, then we'll be done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
So Audrey, you don't think is still with Cooper?
It would be. They would have to. I feel like they would have to retcon some stuff for that to be possible.
Some say he could have got with her in the hospital after the explosion.
Oh, that's right. She's in the bank when that explodes. I forgot about that.
Is she? I thought it was the Piper Laurie character was in there.
That was the mill in the first season when the mill burns down.
Oh, she's not. She doesn't like open up. The way I remember it, she opens up like a safety deposit box or something. Piper Laurie.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
And it explodes.
Yeah, you're right. It's Cochran and her, and I'm pretty sure she's still there though because she handcuffed herself to the.
Audrey Horne did?
Yeah, Audrey handcuffs herself to the bank.
Oh.
And they're just sort of like all operating around her, like they don't even care that she's there.
Okay.
So I thought that was. I'm pretty sure she was in the building when it exploded.
All right. So we don't really know what happened to her yet.
No.
All right.
And we don't know. We don't even really know what's going on with Shelley. Leo, is Leo like still in her life?
Oh yeah, Shelley's husband.
Yeah, because I mean, like We
don't really know what's going on with James. We just saw him once, and he didn't really say anything.
Yeah.
There's still...
but he's still cool, though.
But yeah, we're on part 5 out of 18, so obviously there's still a ways to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that people are pointing out, that Lynch made this as an 18-hour movie. So we're still in, like, exposition land, essentially. If we're going by...
I honestly thought we'd be done introducing stuff, but yeah, we're still going with that.
Yeah, if we're going by film narrative... We're in the first quarter, basically.
First act?
Yeah, so we're still in exposition.
Okay. Setup.
But this is Lynch we're talking about. Like you said, maybe he's not following narrative structure typically. So it's unpredictable. And that's exciting for me because it's an exciting frustration when you don't get answers and you get more questions. And that's evocative of classic Twin Peaks. You keep thinking they're going to give you the answer, but it just keeps... You keep getting closer, but it keeps getting farther away.
Yeah. In Secret History of Twin Peaks, it says Audrey survived.
Okay. Good. Good to know. Pete and Andrew Packard are dead, though. Okay. And that's to be expected because Jack Nance is no longer with us, so you can't bring Pete back. So, I mean, that's convenient to have him taken care of there. Andrew Packard is Eddie Cochran, right? Eddie Cochran, he's the musician, but Cochran, the Piper Laurie's brother. Like that's the guy who was also there, right? That got killed. I'm pretty sure.
I don't remember this character.
Yeah, he was a season 2 character.
Okay.
He came in. I honestly the Josie Packard stuff is the stuff that I'm kind of gray on, because there was like a whole plot where she was married to this guy Cochran, and wait, I keep calling him Cochran. That's his name in Halloween 3. That's why I'm getting that mixed up. Because the same actor, who plays Andrew Packard, plays this guy Cochran in Halloween 3. And I keep calling him Cochran in the show because that's the only role I know him from. Sorry, I'm getting that mixed up. But yeah, Andrew Packard. There's a whole plot line with him in Twin Peaks. With Josie Packard was married to him to inherit the mill. He gets killed. But Josie is the heir to the mill, which is why Piper Laurie hates Josie.
Oh, the Joan Chen character.
Yes.
Oh,
but then it
okay.
turns out Andrew Packard is still alive, and he comes back to basically like reassume control of the mill with Piper Laurie.
Okay.
And punish Josie Packard for betraying him. Like it's
okay. Wow.
It was kind of like a.
I didn't remember all this.
Yeah, I found it to be a little bit
too convoluted.
Yeah, a little convoluted. So I'm not like I could be mixing up some details here because I didn't really follow it that closely as it was happening.
Wow, Michael Ontkean was nearly in, but couldn't due to health reasons. I didn't know that was the reason.
I just thought he didn't want to be involved because I know that he's not in this new series.
Yeah, the original Sheriff Truman.
Yeah, and they're keeping him in the show. They're keeping his spirit in the show.
Yeah, he's mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, which I'm glad they are kind of. It seems kind of like a cop out to have him on the phone, like,
right.
Just like, oh, okay, get well soon. But I'm glad that they are doing that just to show that Harry Truman is still in this universe and he's still a part of Twin Peaks lore.
Just attempt explaining Andrew Packard and new Twin Peaks will seem straightforward.
Yeah.
I didn't remember, all this stuff. It was a lot more complicated than I recalled.
Yeah. But kind of focusing on episode 5 again, getting back to that.
What else is there?
Well, you get that Ernie Hudson character.
Oh, that's right, in the Pentagon.
Yeah, where you find out that they're finding Garland Briggs's fingerprints all over the place. For the past 25 years, he's been gone, missing, dead, actually.
Okay,
and
so Garland Briggs is
Bobby's dad.
Bobby's dad. Okay, like
the
general.
Colonel.
Okay,
yeah.
general
Or colonel. Yeah, you're right.
Colonel.
And
all right. The shit shovels. That's right. Yeah, we did get one answer in episode 5. We found out what
big
those,
reveal.
Yeah, we found out what those gold shovels that Dr. Jacoby was making, what they are.
Yeah, which that was for me. That was the highlight of the episode. Was seeing what's his name. Jacoby, but the actor's name.
Ray Wise?
No, that's Ray Wise is Leland.
Yeah. Rust Hamblin.
Rust Hamblin. Dude, he's still got it, man. The dude's 82 years old, and he can turn it on. His whole rant when he's talking about, the shovels, shovel yourself out of the shit. That was so good. Like Rust Hamblin just nailed that. Just the perfect conspiracy theorist for what Jacoby would have turned into in the internet age, that he has access to technology now and can sort of broadcast his strange ideas in a completely unfiltered way. I thought that
coats guaranteed.
That was absolutely perfect. And I think that's for me, the show.
It's weird that that's like the first thing you see in episode 1 is him spray painting the shovels. You're like, what? And it has kind of like this sinister tone to it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be...
And then you find out, it's just a crazy internet blog thing.
And the only people that watch it are the two craziest people in Twin Peaks, probably. Nadine, the eye patch, who makes the drapes, and she used to have superhuman strength, but she doesn't have that anymore.
She doesn't?
No, at the end of season 2, she gets conked on the head again, and she she is now just Nadine. She's not cheerleader Nadine.
Oh, okay.
So for me, this new series, it's getting the characters absolutely perfectly right for where they'd be in 25 years later in this new and essentially the internet era of and these people who are like small town locals that technology is just sort of like ahead of them. You
don't see a lot of new technology in this show. Every time I do see somebody pull out a smartphone, it's kind of jarring. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is 2017.
Yeah.
Because most everybody, seems kind of trapped in the past, which I like.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of perfect that Jacoby has figured it out, but only to the extent that he could just broadcast his crazy ideas.
And sell stuff.
Yeah, exactly, and rip people off.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. It's another one of those turning shit into gold movies. It's one of those movies.
So, I mean, now there's 2. So
yeah.
So that guy probably watched Twin Peaks and was, one of those. Great.
Again. How many could there be?
He also, Jacoby also I think he also sells those arrows. Like, I'm getting, what does he say? He says, I'm getting straight to the heart of
Oh, I don't know.
like, and I got the arrow that's like bringing me straight to the heart of. I don't remember what he's talking about. It's a big rant.
I just remember the flashlight, the Doctor.
That's what it is. The flashlight. I got my flashlight, folks. To see through all the. I'm trying to remember specifically what he says, but
it's some kind of metaphor.
I think he just makes. He probably just is like spouting.
Just buys cheap shit at thrift stores.
Glues stuff onto it or paints it, and then sells it online.
I'd buy it.
Oh, I would too. Yeah, if they sell like Twin Peaks, like CHAPPiE Dr. Amp shovels, I would buy one.
Should see if they do. I bet you they do somewhere.
I bet someone is playing CHAPPiE and like doing their ripoffs.
Be so easy. Just spray paint shovels. Yeah,
and sell them as Twin Peaks official fan merch. But yeah, that was a great reveal. That because especially when that show started, you're filing all the details in your head. How is this going to play into it later? How is this related?
You think everything's going to be so important, and some stuff just kind of turns out to be strange side things, digressions.
And maybe it is still important. Like, who's to say it isn't, honestly?
Maybe, I guess so.
Maybe Jacoby's in on... Maybe there's some validity to all this shit that Jacoby is saying. Who knows?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, like, at this point, we don't really know anything.
Yeah.
So there's still... I'm still not willing to completely write off the golden shuffles.
All right.
But I think it's still pretty great that was kind of a false, like a red herring, basically.
Yeah.
And that was such an early established thing that we were kind of clinging on to. That it was sort of slowly showing us more and more details. And then you just gonna get that final, that big scene where he has his monologue. And you're like, okay, he's Looney Tunes. But other stuff, there's with Dougie. I think Dougie is my main kind of. He's my main man. He's sort of like my main narrative pull for me.
Like the kind of thing you're most interested in seeing develop.
Yeah, like I want to see what happens, how his mental state is going to be restored, if it's going to be restored, whether
you really
he's
want,
going to
big jumps in that story, but it's going very slowly, very methodically.
Yeah.
I think in episode 5, all I really remember, he becomes obsessed with that statue, and then he also has that one little moment when somebody mentions case files, and you kind of see a little spark in there. Case files.
Yeah, and agent too. When he says, you're my you just insulted one of my best agents, Dougie." And he goes,
"Tom Sizemore." That's right.
Yeah, and he goes, "Agent," and so it's like there's connections being drawn.
Struggling to come back out. Yeah,
and there's also that statue that he sees outside. The final image of the episode when he's staring at the shoes of the statue. Could be his shoes. That's what we think is going on.
Yeah, you're saying all the theories you found out about.
So many theories about the statue and what it is, what connections Dougie could be making or Cooper could be making.
Yeah,
and
you're saying like it could be because he lost his shoes right when he came out of the limbo. Mm-hmm. What was the other thing? That it's possibly a statue of Gary Cooper, you were saying?
Yeah, like that it's a Western figure, Gary Cooper. Yeah, exactly. And some actually have said that the statue kind of looks like David Bowie from the side. And
that's kind of reaching.
It's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, you can look at it and you're like, a little bit like 70s Bowie.
The thing that makes the most sense to me is the shoes thing, that he's kind of remembering he lost his shoes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes the most sense to me. But even then, I'm
remembering the journey that he had.
Yeah.
And
even then, I'm not quite sure.
It's still very open-ended. The statue is a reference to the Dale Cooper autobiography. Coop had a poster of the FBI story above his bed. Google image it. Okay, so there's a detail that I'm from the original show that I'll have to Google that because I don't remember that. But
who's Tammy Preston?
She's mentioned a lot in the book. Is that the agent that is with Gordon Cole and Albert? Is that
female agent?
Yeah, I think that's Tammy Preston. You might. if you can confirm that, Zach, we can elaborate on that a little bit. Okay. Yeah.
We haven't really seen a lot of her yet.
Yeah, people. You're not really following the discussion online, but people kind of hate this character.
Really? Okay.
Specifically, her performance. Because she's in real life, she's a musician
really?
and good friends with David Lynch.
Okay.
And actually, that scene with David Duchovny, when
he was good.
Yeah, exactly. And that whole scene is basically justification almost for her in the series.
Interesting.
Where she's like, so you basically just got this chick to fuck her, right? That's what Duchovny is saying.
Yeah.
And then Lynch is like, nope, she's got the goods. Trust me. She's good. Like,
that it's kind of like a commentary on the show itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
And I kind of feel that way of just I feel that way, like, go with Lynch, like, go with his instincts as an artist, like, maybe you don't really know much about her at this point.
Honestly, she hasn't really been given the opportunity to do much yet.
Yeah.
So, maybe we just need to kind of wait for some bigger scenes.
Yeah, and I don't hate the character or even her performance, because for that reason...
Right now, I'm just kind of neutral on it. I'm just waiting to see what develops out of it.
Exactly. And it's really just the over-sexualization of her character.
Yeah.
The way she, like, swings her hips really cartoonishly when she walks around. It doesn't bug me really. Like, I didn't find it that out of place in the world of Twin Peaks. So
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of distracting the way he focuses on that, but I don't know yet.
I mean, Audrey Horne is very sexualized in the
a lot of
series,
female characters are in the series. Yeah.
So I didn't really find it that out of character for what the show is, and the fact that they preceded that scene with, like, kind of a disclaimer almost, saying, like, you could think what you want, but she's in this because she's good. Like, just trust me. Like,
right.
So I'm going with it.
Yeah.
I think she'll probably... And I understand that she has a bigger role in the secret history of Twin Peaks. So I'm willing to just kind of let it happen, even if she doesn't turn out to be a major character or
before I really judge it. I want to see where it goes, where the character goes, and where the story goes. The thing I'm most interested in following up on is seeing where the David Lynch and Miguel Ferrer characters, like, where it goes with them and Evil Cooper. I'm really interested in seeing where that develops. I
know it's never going to happen, but I want a spin-off of just Gordon Cole. David Lynch is fucking good as Gordon Cole.
Yeah,
like, I was like really upset. The one thing I was very disappointed by in this new episode is that we didn't get more Cole scenes.
Yeah, he's totally absent in this one.
Yeah, which, I mean...
Hopefully we get more. Like, I hope it's not a Matthew Lillard situation where we got like 4 episodes and he's just nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, I really do. In interviews, like, Lynch has said that his character does play a major role in this series. So I'm expecting there to be some follow-up here, but that's really drawn me in. The Miguel Ferrer and David Lynch have a great chemistry together.
Yeah.
And also just the way they're piecing together information and they're questioning Cooper.
Yeah,
it's
really
very
see,
fascinating.
If they can figure it out in time. Yeah, I'm getting really drawn into that particular storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also very curious to see where Dougie ends up, because I want good Cooper to come back.
Yeah, I'm at this point. I'm kind of getting okay with the possibility that we may not get real Cooper until the very last episode.
Maybe, yeah.
And
it'll be a long time to wait.
It's a long time to wait, but I think this Dougie storyline is being done so well to where I'm okay with that.
Okay,
some people are saying that it's
been pretty consistently funny and engaging. You never know what's going to happen next.
And plus, the contrast of seeing the bad Cooper with this Dougie Cooper, of seeing these two sides, the two sides of this man.
He's kind of a complete innocent now.
Yeah, I think that contrast is really, really interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of like CHAPPiE. He's having to learn everything over again.
Yeah, exactly. It's the recurring theme of the stream today. And McLaughlin, is somebody mentioned, like, if he doesn't win an Emmy, it'll be a crime. seriously, like McLaughlin is outstanding in the show.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of an outside chance. Twin Peaks is maybe it's on the fringe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it'll get too much recognition come awards time.
I at least hope it gets him more work in like interesting roles.
Yeah,
like because he's kind of one of those actors that was big in his day, but now he's just sort of like not a wash up, but he just is here and there.
Yeah,
like he's funny in
he kind of did too many like Showgirls kind of movies.
Yeah, he's funny in Portlandia. Like
I haven't seen that show yet.
He's the mayor of Portland.
Oh, that's
and
great.
He's great in that. And he seems to be kind of like one of those actors who comes out and does stuff if it's interesting. But he's a winemaker, so now he just makes
everybody's
wine.
a winemaker now.
Yeah, so he makes wine. He acts occasionally, but seeing this show really reminded me of how great of an actor he is, and how good he not only in these new roles as Bad Cooper, Dougie, but also just remembering how desperate I am to see the old Cooper and how much of a
how perfect he was in that.
Yeah, how vivid that characterization was that I'm remembering it and I'm like, I want it to come back so desperately, and it's even though I haven't seen it in the show, it's still occupying that space. And he really, there is something so perfect about that casting, and this is like full on, like Lynch is like utilizing all of his talents as an actor. I think it's like kind of fitting that in the end credits, the first thing you see is starring Kyle MacLachlan, and then the rest is scrolled. Like it's his show. Like he's commanding this. I love Showgirls. I need to rewatch it. I've heard it's getting a reappraisal.
Yeah.
And especially in the context of Paul Verhoeven's work.
Yeah.
Of it being kind of a satire and self-aware.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as its reputation stated, but I don't know. I didn't really think it was good when I saw it.
Yeah.
So is that about all you have to say for Twin Peaks?
Yeah, I'd say if you were left a little cold by this new episode, give it a rewatch. I liked it. Same with the other episodes. The second time around, it gets a lot better once you just accept it for what it is.
Yeah,
and
you kind of just have to give yourself over to the rhythm.
Exactly. So tomorrow we get episode 6, and I'm just going to try and I'm almost going to try and just forget everything I've seen so far. Not expect anything. Let it unfold the way it unfolds. So
you're not just going to be waiting the whole time for this character to show up or this plot line to be followed up on.
Go with the flow. Drink some green tea latte. That's for me. That scene is a metaphor for this new Twin Peaks, where that guy, he wants the coffee. I want that coffee.
Oh,
but just drink this green tea latte, and you just try it. And the guy reluctantly grabs the latte and drinks it, and it's like the best thing he's ever had in his life. And he's smiling and clutching it and drinking this latte.
Be open to new experiences.
Exactly. I think that's what Lynch is saying in that scene. So, yeah, drink the green tea latte and enjoy it, and just admire the coffee. And if you get the coffee, then great. So that's all I have to say about that.
Showgirls is a satire that, in the wake of late 90s cheese, was not acknowledged as such. Well, fair enough. I'd be willing to give it another shot.
Yeah, for sure. I've never seen Starship Troopers. That's always one I wanted to watch.
Yeah, I think that was more satirical than it was given credit for.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care so much for Starship Troopers either, but yeah, I do think that was a bit more subversive than a lot of people seem to think.
Yeah, kind of in the same tone of RoboCop.
Yeah,
but being a satire, a simultaneous satire and action spectacle.
Yeah,
of
a lot of special effects, a lot of blood and action.
Yeah, but it's also about how we're obsessed with special effects and blood and action.
Yeah, and kind of a parody of fascism.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I like that metaphor with the green tea latte. That was good. That totally went by me.
Yeah,
but it makes a lot of sense.
To be fair, that's sort of, I didn't come up with that. That's the top of mine. So, because I'll give credit where credit's due. Like, this is my thoughts on the show are kind of like are communal with discussion happening online, and that was kind of something that, I mean, a lot of this stuff is stuff that it's like sometimes when I watch this new series, like I'll think of some things and I'll draw connections, but it really takes some discussion for it to be brought out fully.
Yeah, I think that's part of the fun. Yeah, is discussing a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and so we're done with spoilers now.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
Spoilers are finished.
But yeah, I think that's a part of the fun, is being a part of the discussion.
Yeah,
and just sort of exchanging ideas and seeing what people are bringing out, and the metaphors and things like that.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying that. Like every episode, discussing what we've just seen, trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hearing everybody's different interpretations.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Double RR Diner was nice to see. Going back to the diner, we're done with spoilers.
Where like Shelley works.
Yeah, Shelley
okay.
And what's her name? Norma.
Okay. Big Ed's.
Yeah.
They're having an affair, right?
Yeah.
Or they were.
We don't know.
Okay.
Now.
All right.
More to come.
Gotta wait.
Big Ed was in the trailer, so he's coming soon.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll get Big Ed eventually.
I received another Criterion Blu-ray today. Cult classic Ghost World. Great movie.
Yeah.
Truly amazing picture and audio. I really want to get that Blu-ray.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about some of these new releases coming out.
For Criterion?
Yeah, they've announced some of my favorites that I've been wanting to watch for a while, rewatch for a while. Lost in America is coming out soon. Yeah. And that's...
What is the date
I love
today?
Lost in America.
The 10th. We gotta wait 5 more days for the new announcements.
Oh, okay.
The 15th of every month they make the new announcements.
Yeah, but they've been getting a lot of the movies that have been on the list for a while. That recently Blow Up has been added to the collection.
Oh yeah, I was waiting for that one for a while.
That's been on my want list for years. Them finally releasing Blow Up, so I'm excited. I think that one's already out. I've been wanting to buy that one.
Yeah, that's my favorite Michelangelo Antonioni movie. I've been kind of left cold by his other stuff, but there's something about Blow Up that I really like. That really fascinates me. I love that idea of a mystery with no solution. Where at the end you're not even sure there's a mystery at all.
Yeah,
I really like that.
Absolutely. There's
I haven't started Fargo yet, but I will start on Fargo.
I need to watch that.
I started
too,
on Oz. I've watched like 4 episodes of Oz, which has been kind of shaky. Like the first couple episodes I was kind of I don't know, but now I think I just watched episode 4, which really delved into capital punishment, tried to explore that theme, and I thought that was a pretty strong episode. So I'm starting to get into Oz. I'm gonna focus on Oz mostly. Try to watch an episode or 2 of that every day if I can.
You just gotta wait till the Tin Man comes in.
Yeah. Wait till I get out of Kansas. Yeah. But I do want to start getting into Fargo as well.
Yeah. Let's see. I keep seeing The Professional come up.
Leon the Professional?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen it.
I watched it a long, long time ago, and I sort of remember it, and I remember really liking it, but it's been so long. I think I'd need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Luke Besson, kind of half and half on.
Hit and miss.
Yeah.
Hit and miss.
I like a lot of his earlier stuff.
I really do like The Fifth Element.
You do?
It's
a fun movie.
It's so campy and silly. I just
and obviously intentionally.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think it's just a great 90s era fun kind of special effects epic.
Yeah, apparently really rips off Hodorowski's The Inkal.
Really?
Yeah, he sued Luke Besson after the movie came out because it was so similar to the comic.
Oh, shit. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I think he lost the lawsuit, though.
Oh, okay.
But there are similarities. I've never read The Inkal, so I don't know, but I've heard there are a lot of similarities. And the illustrator of The Inkal, Mobius, he did a lot of conceptual art for The Fifth Element.
Oh,
so understandably, there's probably some carryover.
Yeah.
I don't know the full details, though. But The Fifth Element, it is a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
Absolutely.
It's cartoony enough and exaggerated enough. Like, you're guaranteed never to be bored by it.
Yeah. The recent release of Leon is incredible. Oh, yeah, they did just put out a new Blu-ray.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
cool.
of The Professional. So I've been meaning to... I've actually just thinking about blind buying it because I've heard so much about it for years, and I've been wanting to see it.
Isn't it, like, on like the top 10 of the IMDb top 250.
Maybe. I don't know.
I never really pay attention to that anymore.
Yeah.
But I seem to remember it having a really high ranking.
I think it does.
I think it has. It's got quite a devoted following.
Mm-hmm.
What else has Luc Besson done? I like his earlier stuff, like La Femme Nikita. I like that one. And he did one with Christopher Lambert. It's his proper pronunciation, Lambert, because he's French. But he did one with Lambert called Subway, which I remember liking. Those there was a movement in French cinema in the 80s called the Cinema du Look, I think is how you say it. But it was basically like movies that emphasized style over substance. It's kind of all about stylish photography and energetic camera work.
Wasn't Diva? Wasn't that a part of that?
Yeah, Diva. That's another one. A really underrated, underseen movie. French film called Diva from the late 80s, I think.
Criterion should get their hands on
that.
Yeah,
that they absolutely should.
That would look good on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that director, Jean-Jacques Benix, I think is how you say his name. I'm sure I'm butchering all these French names, but he's a really underappreciated filmmaker. He's done a lot of really interesting stuff over the years. Betty Blue is another one that I liked. That's got kind of a cult following. But yeah, Diva's really good. And I kind of like a lot of the French films from that era of the Cinema du Look movement. Some interesting stuff that got produced in that era.
Yeah. The Incal is so good that you won't care about The Fifth Element. And yeah, we were talking about that last stream. Apparently, Jodorowsky's comics are back in print. So
I need to look into that.
Yeah, we need to start reading those. Please, would you email
We don't have The Descendants. But I should be able to do the other ones.
Well, let me see.
King of Comedy, Sideways. He has he has like the British Blu-ray sleeves, which I guess have like a lot of logos and ratings all over him, and he hates that crap. So yeah,
that's funny.
But sending him like the scans of like the American sleeves for
that's
Blu-rays
great.
and stuff.
Nice. I've always felt that way. Like sometimes they'll put out Arrow Video puts out really good releases of cult movies.
If I had the money, I would love to start collecting like the Arrow Video stuff that they're putting out now.
Most of the stuff they release is Region 2, and it has like all the ugly rating stuff on it, and I hate that.
They Arrow Video, I think they're a British company. They just recently started expanding into the US.
Yeah, and they've put out some stuff in the US, and actually they just announced a new collector's edition of Fish Called Wanda.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, which I'll probably end up buying that. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. So it has pretty much the same stuff as the DVD, but it has a couple new retrospectives on it. So
cool.
Plus a new 4K scan. So
not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arthur and the Invisibles.
Never watched them.
We watched the first one, right?
If you can call it watching. I mean, I
remember watching the first one. We never saw the other two, but those are silly movies.
I just kind of half, put it on, and
it's got the strangest voice cast, I think, of all time.
Isn't David Bowie in it?
I think so. And I think Madonna and Harvey Keitel.
Oh.
Yeah, and a few others. I forget the exact cast list, but it's got such a bizarre voice cast.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking it was kind of fun. I didn't think it was amazing, but not a total disaster.
Yeah.
But again, it's been years since I've watched it, and I never saw the other two.
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever be that interested in binge watching those. It's
what about? Whoa, Lou Reed was in 2 and 3 to replace David Bowie.
Maybe I'll watch them now. That's pretty awesome.
Wow.
Isn't he like the villain too in the movie?
God, I don't remember.
I seem to remember him playing.
I think you're
the
just
villain.
thinking of Labyrinth.
Maybe. Which I would love to see Lou Reed. I mean, he can't anymore, but I'd love to see Lou Reed as like
Labyrinth 2.
Yeah,
that would have been great. That would have been
Put
great.
him in the tights.
What do you think about Valerian in the City of 1,000 Planets? I think it's called, the new Luc Besson one.
Oh,
big sci-fi one
where they re-released The Fifth Element.
Please don't watch them. It's not worth it.
They re-released Fifth Element to coincide with that, to basically remind people that like,
hey, you remember this one you liked? Well, it's a new one.
Yeah, this one's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So I I felt like that was kind of like a desperate attempt to get people to come see it.
Yeah. I guess there's a lot riding on it. I think it's the most expensive European film ever made.
How does he get so much money to make these movies? I mean, like, they're not bad movies, really, but I'm just surprised that his movies are so, like, quirky and strange. I'm surprised they get such huge budgets to...
I don't think he'd be able to make these kinds of movies in Hollywood, but he produces them all in France and Europe with European financing.
Yeah, I guess the industry's a little different there, but...
yeah, I don't know.
I'm not that interested in seeing it.
I've seen bits and pieces of trailers, but yeah, I can't say I'm too excited for Valerian. I probably won't see that one, at least not right away.
I mean, like...
Maybe eventually if it ends up on Amazon or something.
If like, Luc Besson is, like, really, really banking on people seeing it so he can, provide for his family, then I'll pay a ticket price to go see it. But if this is just, like, just kind of schlock, then...
I've been hearing a lot about Lucy, though. The last one he did.
Oh, the Scarlett Johansson movie?
I guess a lot of people like that one. I haven't seen Lucy yet, but I got a lot of good reviews. Might check that one out.
Yeah, it kind of... trailers suck. I really shouldn't base my opinions on movies from trailers, but I saw the trailer for that one, and I was... just kind of...
I wasn't too interested in seeing it, but then, I've been hearing a lot of positive things about it, so it's kind of like, might check it out. I don't know. I'm not too eager, but...
For sure. Did
we watch anything else?
Not really.
I watched Bridge of Spies.
Oh.
That's one of the only... I think that makes... the only Spielberg movie I haven't seen is Empire of the Sun. It's the only one I haven't seen. Bridge of Spies was the other one. But I'd recently watched Bridge of Spies. I liked it. Yeah. I wasn't really expecting to. I thought it would be really boring, but I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't tend to get into spy movies or, like, really sober historical dramas.
Yeah.
But I was actually engaged by that one. I thought it was an interesting examination of patriotism, and human rights, and trying to, like, overcome bureaucracy and wartime mentality to do something larger and noble. Kind of a typical Spielberg theme.
Yeah.
And it's, Norman Rockwell-esque. It's inspiring and a tearjerker, but it worked. I thought it worked.
Yeah, and it's a Coen Brothers script, and even bad Coen Brothers scripts are still pretty good. So,
true.
So, I mean, they had that going for it. That was their writing, and like I think you said there was some quirky,
actually, it has
Coen-esque stuff in there.
I was actually really surprised that this didn't really feel like a Steven Spielberg movie. He really tones down, like, the spectacle and, like, the really sweeping camera movements. It's mostly just kind of like dialogue and kind of like handheld camera work. It's really toned down Spielberg. It feels almost like a different filmmaker made it. And there are a lot of Coen-esque touches in the language that is used and the dialogue, the back and forth kind of style, and just the specificity of word usage. There's a whole, like, thing at the beginning with Tom Hanks's character where he's talking, like, with another insurance person. He's like, so your guy crashes into my guys, and it's like, no, don't call him my guy. He's not my guy. He's a client. He's the client of my company. He's not my guy, so don't call him my guy. Just that whole, the rapid fire discussion over just the specificity of words. That feels very Coen-esque to me.
Yeah. I do need to see it. I haven't been keeping up with Spielberg lately. The last one I watched was War Horse back in 2011.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about that one. I thought it was okay.
I thought it was pretty good.
You liked it?
A throwback to sort of like
40s kind of stuff.
Yeah, like John Ford kind of movies. And I like those kinds of movies, those kind of straight-faced westerns and war movies, and so I enjoyed it as just something that was a genre throwback.
Yeah, I do appreciate that about Spielberg, that he really does try to genuinely recapture a more old-fashioned kind of filmmaking. And he's pretty damn good at it, too. I think a lot of other filmmakers try to emulate that and just don't quite give it the conviction that it deserves, whereas he is able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't see Lincoln... which
Lincoln was okay.
Yeah,
I was expecting Bridge of Spies to be like that, where it's just like it's history and kind of like yeah, okay, but it's not really very fun to watch. It's not that entertaining. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis was great, and it was well made. I mean, there's nothing really bad I could say about it other than just the fact that I wasn't really engaged by it.
Yeah, and then the big fucking giant, too.
I like that one. I really enjoyed BFG.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but yeah, for me,
I would consider Spielberg to be one of my favorite filmmakers because he's made so many of my favorite movies. Really, so
he's a great filmmaker.
But for some reason, in recent years, I just haven't had the motivation to watch his movies the way I used to. Like back in the day, whenever he'd make a movie, it was an event. Like, I remember being so excited when War of the Worlds came out.
Yeah, we saw that like
a new
Steven Spielberg in theaters, right?
Yeah, which I really don't like War of the Worlds, but
I like it. I think it's good.
I think maybe I need to rewatch it, but my memories of it are typically just characters waving their arms and being really annoying and kind of being kind of uninvested in what I didn't even really care whether they survived or not.
Character-wise, script-wise, it's not some of his best work, but I just think
David Koepp wrote it, so it can only be so good.
But for special effects and like action set pieces, I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and
that's Spielberg in like big spectacle mode.
And Tim Robbins was pretty great in it.
Yeah.
But back then, it was like kind of an event. It was still
Indiana Jones 4.
Oh, fuck.
Then we saw it. And the excitement died pretty quick.
Oh, man. We don't even need to talk about that.
I can't believe they're doing a fifth one. Why does there need to be a fifth one?
History repeats itself.
I know.
What makes you think... Okay,
that's the most confusing thing, is that people are actually excited about it. It's like, did you see the fourth movie?
What makes you think 20 years after the last movie, if it failed that hard and was that like distant from what made the original movie so great, what makes you think adding another 15 years to that or another 10 years to that is going to make it any better to recapture that magic?
It has been another 10 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the movie came out in like 2008.
Wow, I didn't know it's been that long.
Mm-hmm. And by the time it comes out, it'll be closer to like 15 years. Wow. So what makes you think that it's going to improve it any more, that they're that much farther away from... When back in the day, they made those movies like pretty close together. Raiders came out in 81. Temple of Doom was like 84.
That's the way you got to do it. It's time has passed. You just need to move on.
And I mean they're timeless too. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark is going to continually be.
It's still a masterpiece of action filmmaking.
Yeah, so it's like, just why can't people just be satisfied with that?
Yeah,
and just be like, those movies were great, and they were Spielberg in his prime, Ford in his prime, and just be good with that. Why do we have to? Why do we have to throw 70-year-old Harrison Ford back in the old garment, get him cracking a whip, and it's just, I mean, nothing against Harrison Ford. I'm not being an ageist here. Like, he's still a great actor, but you just don't. I don't think they need to keep beating that horse. You know, it's done. Like you said, it's had its time.
Mm-hmm. They're only excited because George is gone. Is that the reason that George Lucas is involved in the new one?
He gets
maybe the feeling is like, it just can't. It can't be as bad as number 4. I don't know. I think we're in for an unpleasant surprise on that front.
To me, it wasn't even George Lucas's involvement that made that movie as bad as it was. It was just a weak script.
Right.
Like, I really do blame the script for that movie because
it's not a poorly made movie.
No.
Like, I mean, from a cinematography standpoint and like a special effects standpoint, on a technical craft level, it's really well made. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just the story is very silly.
Yeah.
And just doesn't work.
No. And I mean, we're getting into Indy 4 discussion here, and this can go on for a long time. But
I'm sure plenty of other people have had that discussion.
Yeah, but the indie movies have always been silly. They've never been realistic.
Uh-huh.
But
it's just they pushed it a little bit too far in the fourth one.
Exactly. So with Indiana Jones 5, I guess the only thing...
Was that the one that killed it for Spielberg?
As far as
was there anything
being excited for his movies?
Was there anything after Indy 4 that you were like, oh, gotta see that?
When did he do Munich?
It's 2005, I think.
Oh, it was before.
Yeah.
Because I remember Munich, I was pretty hyped to see.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters. I like that movie.
Yeah,
it's
Munich
a really
is
good
really
movie.
good.
One of his more adult films.
Yeah.
Which he can do that really well. He can make a really mature, complicated, morally ambiguous movie, which Munich is.
Yeah, absolutely. After, I'm trying to think, post 2008, he kind of took a break for a little while, I think.
Yeah, that's the way...
Warhorse and Tintin came out like right after one.
That's
like,
the way
one
he
after
typically
another.
works, is he'll take a year or two off, just kind of be with his family, do his thing, and then he'll do like 2 or 3 years where he makes like 4 movies, and he'll do them all at once. It's insane, this guy's work ethic. He really does make 2 or 3 movies simultaneously. Like, he develops them all at the same time. As he's shooting one movie, he's doing pre-production on the next movie, and then when he's doing post-production on the previous movie, he's shooting the next movie and doing pre-production on the next movie. It's insane, like, that he's able to balance all of these big projects all at once, and then they just kind of all come out fairly rapidly, and then he takes another couple years off, recovers, just gets a chance to, be a family man.
Yeah, which, I mean, all of his movies, most of his movies are about family, and
right, yeah,
and so I can see him prioritizing, like,
yeah,
I'm the world's biggest director, but I'm going to put my kids first.
Yeah,
so
I
respect that about him.
Yeah, I think that's the reason he's done it. Instead of just doing a movie every year, every couple of years, it's like, I'll set aside a couple years where I just work nonstop, and then just take a couple years where I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how he does it. Yeah, could you imagine doing like Schindler's List and Jurassic Park, and I forget what else came out at that time, but like doing all of those movies simultaneously and not going insane, like trying to keep it all separate.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
The guy's a pro. Like, he's like an old-fashioned pro. He's like an old studio filmmaker, that
yeah. And he's somebody that puts his mark on everything he does, even though he's partly a director that comes up with his own ideas, and partly a director for hire that comes onto projects, but everything he does, he elevates to his Spielberg level.
He's like,
everything bears his mark.
It's like the modern day Howard Hawks to me.
Yeah.
Where Howard Hawks,
the old-fashioned kind of directors. Yeah.
Howard Hawks had an insane creative output, like, to so many movies, blended so many genres, and just seemed to like bring the best out of every one of his projects.
Because he did like Scarface, the original Scarface, and Thing from Another World, and a bunch of Western.
Red River.
Yeah.
I mean, and all of those are classics in their own genre. And I think Spielberg does that with his movies. Like, he has his classics. He has great sci-fi. He has great thrillers, dramas, comedies.
Yeah, war movies.
Yeah, he really is a classical director in that sense to me. But he brings that, because he came from the New Hollywood, he kind of brings his own kind of personal creative touches to things.
Yeah, he's sort of an auteur, but also just sort of a journeyman at the same time. Yeah, and you're right. The last like decade or so, there hasn't really been a Spielberg movie that when it comes out, I'm like, ooh, gotta see that. I'm always kind of like, whatever. And then I end up seeing them, and nearly every time I end up really liking it.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't too interested in Tintin beforehand, then I saw it and I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, Tintin to me was the movie that Indy 4 should have been. It has that same spirit of like throwback adventure.
Exactly.
And then Bridge of Spies, I was kind of expecting to be kind of a dull, dry historical movie. I ended up really liking it. Like, the character interactions between Tom Hanks and Mark Rylance were really good. Like, I see why he won the Oscar now. Mark Rylance did. That was a huge upset, but I get it now. He's really good in that movie. Then what else? It seems like I just saw another. BFG. Wasn't really expecting that one to be great. I really loved it. So, I mean, he still got it. It's just for some reason, like, when you see a new Spielberg movie, it's kind of like, okay. I don't know. It doesn't have the same monumental feeling as it used to, even though he's still a great filmmaker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll make a vow. The next one that he puts out in theaters, I'm gonna go see.
I think that's gonna be Ready Player One. Yeah. Never mind.
Which, I mean, he's been working on that one for like a decade, hasn't he?
I think it's been a while in development.
Because I remember that's been on his IMDb for a long time.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was originally going to be like a different director's movie or something, and then he acquired it, or I don't know the story behind it.
I
but,
mean, that happens sometimes. Like, he was going to do Interstellar, and that got passed off to somebody. He spent a lot of time developing that one, too. So it could be something that, he had, then he let go of, then he got a hold of it again.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of stuff in projects in Hollywood, they can be like a game of hot potato, just like passing back and forth between a lot of people.
Going on to one of the best filmmakers to maybe one of the worst, Michael Bay. Do you want to talk about Michael Bay?
Polar opposite of Steven Spielberg. Yeah, somebody was saying, have you seen The Island? That is a good Michael Bay movie.
I haven't seen The Island.
I don't know. Robopocalypse. Yeah, I think I heard Spielberg's working on an adaptation of a graphic novel called Robopocalypse.
For some reason, my mind went to Metalocalypse, and I was like,
the
no
Adult
way.
Swim show.
Yeah, I was like, if he's doing Metalocalypse, the movie,
I couldn't see that. He's got a bunch of stuff in development right now. Indy 5, Robopocalypse, Ready Player One, and some other stuff too. I think another historical drama, something like that, or like a kidnapping film, something like, or maybe that's Ridley Scott. I can't remember anymore, but yeah, he's got a bunch of stuff in development. But Michael Bay, I've seen The Island.
What do you think?
I actually didn't care for it. I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson is a fan of it, and it does have its admirers. I didn't really care for The Island. I thought it was kind of stupid, like stuff. I don't know.
Green stream resumed.
I think we're back. There? Give it a second. Oh no, stream went out again. Oh,
okay. I
think we're back.
We're good. All right. Well, we're only talking about Michael Bay. It's a big deal.
Boy, this is the most trouble I've ever had with a stream.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just our internet.
Okay, you're back. All right.
We're talking about Michael Bay. I hate the expression because it's like a common thing now to go see movies and turn your brain off, check your brain at the door, and to me, I hate that. I don't want to watch. Yeah. I don't want to be a vegetable for 2 hours. Yeah. I want to be engaged. But the one movie I feel I was able to do that and really genuinely enjoy it, and don't judge me, is Pain and Gain. I really did like Pain and Gain quite a bit, actually. And I think it's just because it was a Michael Bay movie that was about material that lended itself to the Michael Bay style. It was
just really shallow characters,
exactly,
and a really shallow world.
It's about people who are self-involved and idiotic and think of themselves as larger than life, and there's really nothing in there. There's nothing of value in there. And Michael Bay, I mean, that's the Michael Bay aesthetic. And so I think it was sort of like, if you will, it was like a subjective movie. It was a movie told from these characters' point of view, where everything is big and like over the top, and the style is in your face, and constantly like there's some kind of effect being applied, and I think that I was able to appreciate that in that context, as an aesthetic, as the right way of telling that story, if you will. Okay.
Okay.
So we're good.
Somebody doesn't want us talking about Michael Bay.
I think he's interfering with the stream.
Yeah.
Or at least his people are.
He's trying to silence us. All right, since we're having so much trouble with this, I think we're going to bring the stream to a close now. So it's really not cooperating with us.
Yeah, it's a shame because there's some talk about PTA in the chat there. And we definitely have a lot to say about PTA, but
yeah, we sort of talked about him last time you were on, like Inherent Vice.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think we'll bring this to a close now. Kind of sign off.
Yeah.
Just because we're not sure if the stream is going to hold anymore. So any last things you want to add?
Yeah, just moral of the story. Watch Twin Peaks. Get caught up if you haven't started
Watch
it
Split.
yet. Yeah, watch Split, definitely. Give Chappie a chance.
Yeah.
All of it's on Amazon. So if you have...
we actually did watch all of that on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so if you have Amazon Prime,
And
very
Showtime.
easy. Yeah, with Twin Peaks, you gotta add the Showtime app, but it is worth it. Don't feel... I would even say if you haven't seen the original series, just start this new series. Why not?
Okay.
It's new, it's fresh.
Yeah.
You'll have a new perspective on it if you're not familiar with the show, so why not? Give it a shot.
Okay.
And yeah, that's about it for me. On again.